You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome into our program tonight. We got a special program here tonight. Our good friend Eric couldn't come on tonight. He is a former Jehovah's Witness. Eric out of Tennessee, not feeling well, so we have a man filling in for Eric tonight. His name is Vern, and he also has his good friend and our good friend Ruby. So we're going to bring them both on. They're going to do a program here tonight. I know you're going to find it interesting. Now, what I'll do is during the program, I'll leave the telephone lines open. I'm going to put up a link. I'll put it right in the YouTube subscription box. You can see it. And also I'm going to put the phone lines up as well, so you'll be able to call in. But we have Vern coming on. Let's bring him on right now. Say hello to him. We're so glad that he could come on and add him to the stage. Hello, Vern. Okay, we're not having you speak up. Hold on, you're muted. I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. I had myself muted. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. That happens real easily. You know it. I don't have to tell you. You do similar things. Let's bring Ruby on to make sure her mic and everything is working. Hello, Ruby.
Hey.
Hey, well, it's good to see you. I'm doing good. It's very good to see you tonight. Very, very good. Thank you for coming on with Vern. I think that's really, really nice of you. Thank you. So why don't we do this, Vern? I'm going to step out of the way. I know you got a lot to talk about, but I'm here. I'll be watching the control panel here and making sure everything goes nice and smooth. I'll put the link up so people can come in via StreamYard, or they can call in on the telephone line. So I'm going to bow out. And Vern, it's up to you, my man, and Ruby. So take it away.
Oh, how much time do we have, Rick?
You can go as long as you want. If you want to go to the last program always they go as long as you want. If you want to go 2 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, so it's up to you. You feel you now. Where are you calling in from Canada? Whereabouts you live in Canada?
I live in Alberta, Canada, and as you can see, I'm in a container. I'm in a sea can. We call them sea cans. You guys call them containers. And we're living in this container right now. We sold our little farm here, and we're going to be on the road here. We're going to a protest tomorrow at Edmonton, and then we're hoping to hit Vancouver here.
Excellent.
We're not going to be able to make it across Canada this year because we still have to find a place to live. So
yeah, well, we hope you all. Well, with everything going on in your life, thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, this is my wife just has me locked in this sea can, and she says she's out there doing sorting things out, and this is cool. I got a fan going here, and we even have air conditioning in here.
Wow.
I did a tour on Joe and Fran's show last Wednesday, right at the beginning of their show. I did a tour of the whole sea can outside. I walked outside, showed the farm, everything. I could do it now, but I'd have to unplug a few things. I got a double screen here.
Yeah, no, you just stay right on that. But, well, thank you for putting forth that effort to be on with us. Golly, we love that. I want to get you. I want to get some of the Six Screens people to know you. I subscribe to your channel. I love the way you do things in a very uncanny way. Very, very different. Very different. You add a little humor to things, and I think that's good. I really, really do. You're doing a good job. Ruby's doing a good job too on her YouTube channel. She's doing great. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to you guys tonight. So,
well, we wanted to let you know also, Rick, that you have inspired all of us. You were out here, like you said, 19, 20 years. Any of us that come onto YouTube, we find you pretty quick. And we get to know the community from a distance, and from a distance, we all get inspired. So you affect more people than you think. So thank you very much, Rick, for sticking at it all those years. I don't think I could do that, but you're amazing. Thank you, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't always like this. I'll put myself back up here for a second.
Yeah.
And Yeah, let's see what we got here. Hold on one second. Yeah, it always wasn't like this. 20 years ago, when I
Mhm.
first came on, there was only 5 YouTube channels that were exposing the
Yeah.
watch. And also, I'd start doing this broadcast on the telephone line. There wasn't streaming then.
Mhm.
And, nobody listened in. And my former wife used to get up in the middle of the night and she'd say, Rick, is anyone listening to that program? I'd say,
Mhm.
well, I don't know if they are or not. But once in a while we get someone talk up on the telephone. But
Yep.
it's a lot different today. I have to tell you, a lot
Yeah.
of people are leaving the Watchtower, and boy, they are coming out and they are listening into all of these programs, all of the YouTube people,
Oh,
you
yeah.
look at all the hits, look at all the people. It's
Mhm.
amazing. So it's making a difference. It's making a difference. Yeah. So, anyways, what are you going to be talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about spiritual disturbances. And if I can present a screen, let me see how that works. I had a screen here. I'm going to move you back over here. I think I can present a screen and you can present it. It's what is it here? Oops. I can do that. Can do anything with two screens. What do you have? 6 screens here, Rick?
Well, actually, that's I have actually had 6 screens. It's funny to say that. I've had 6 computers here running at the same time on my control panel because of all the networks we're on. Yeah, all the platforms.
Share screen. You must have been into electronics and stuff to really do all the stuff that you do. There it is. There's a screen I would like to share eventually.
All
Not
right.
right now.
All right. Well, you can get that up. I think you can put that up yourself. But if not, I'll try to put it up for
Okay.
you.
Well, if I don't know, if you put it up first, then can I take it down and put it back up?
Okay. Let me see.
I don't
Let me see if I can add it to the stage. All right. There it
Okay.
is.
Now,
Can
if I
you?
wanted to take it back down, I can't. Oh, I can remove it from the stage. Yep.
There you
Can I
go.
put it back on? No, I cannot put it back on.
You can't.
So, are you in the background? Well, we can run with this right away. This is the first spiritual disturbance right here. This video.
Okay. You want me to put it up?
We can get this out of the way and then talk about it. Sure, let's do that.
All right. Let's put it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bow out of here. I'm here if
Okay.
you need me. Okay, I'm here if you need
Thank
me.
you.
So don't worry. Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the first spiritual disturbance. Now, what's good about having Ruby on is Ruby comes from a different generation than me. You were raised in
Mhm.
the JW, Ruby?
Yes,
So
born and raised, 4th generation.
yeah, four generations of JWs in your family?
Yes, so I'm
Really?
4th generation on my mother's side and 3rd generation on my father's side.
So when you come out, it's not like you got a pile of worldly family.
Absolutely not. I was the first one to be like the black sheep of the family and to be disfellowshipped like in my generation. Yeah, I was all by myself.
Mhm. Now, what I'd like to do here before oh no, I'll do that in a bit here, but I'm going to hide that. Okay, so all the way through as a young person, you were raised in this stuff, right?
Yes.
So I don't know how you view it. This is off the assembly. This is this
Yes.
year
So you're
off the
going to trigger
assembly.
me right now, huh?
Well, I hope I don't. Let me see.
It's okay. I'm just joking.
Okay, so I've got the music turned off. I can leave the music off. So,
It's
but
fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll put the music on 50%. Now, we're just going to play this and then we're going to back it up and talk about it. Okay, so here it is.
Righteousness, peace he will provide. Jesus is the way to win this life. Truth he will declare.
Okay, so I'm going to silence it now. And what I'm going to do is I'm getting feedback for some reason. Okay, what I'm going to do is also change the speed. I'm going to slow it right down. And we're going to look at this slowed down and we're going to talk about this. So So here we have as JWs, and I did some biblical research on this too. Here we have, is that Jesus or Michael coming on the horse? What do JWs believe?
Okay, that's tricky. That's a trick question because I would say Jesus,
Who's
but
that shooting the arrow? Who's aiming the arrow? Jesus or Michael?
I would say Jesus.
Okay. And who's he aiming at? Who's he pointing at?
The worldly people.
Worldly people. Okay, describe that. Let's break that apart. Okay, so now that city there, is that, I'm going to pause it. That city there,
Yes.
that's all burning up and all, is that what Jesus just burnt? Is that what he hit his arrow at? That whole city?
I would assume so. Yes. The world. Anybody who's not a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay, so here you are as a little Jehovah's Witness girl walking out. I can actually
Mhm.
see you in the picture there, right
Mhm.
here, walking out. You know, every Jehovah's Witness tries to find themselves in the picture, right? They all do. We all did, right? See, in yours and my day, maybe not yours day, but my day in the olden days, we didn't have movies. This was all just a picture in the Live Forever book, right?
Mhm.
Did they
Mhm.
have this movie when you were in? No, probably. Eh?
No, but like my books of Bible stories and those publications that came out in like the early 2000s,
Yeah,
2010s, it was
they all
really
have.
graphic. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this picture.
Mhm.
In that city, you were going to school with some kids at school, right?
Mhm.
And you might have, maybe you were coloring with them. You had some little friends there, and you knew
Mhm.
them and you really liked them and stuff like that. Are they with you? Are they walking out of the city with you? Those little
Nope.
friends? Where are they?
They're getting destroyed, unfortunately, because they didn't make the right decision.
Those little friends of yours, yeah. So
Yes.
now all these people, I can ask myself, I'm in there too, right? I was a JW, so we're just pretending we're not there
Right.
no more. But I used to put myself in these pictures, go to these assemblies, do that.
Mhm.
And I would look back and I would think, holy shit, there's my family, all my mom and my dad. My dad was a really good man. My
Mhm.
dad measured higher than any JW I knew. You see, by
Mhm.
then I was getting tainted by lots of elders and bad stuff. So I
Mhm.
started to compare that and I started to kind of wake up in the seat and think about it. And it caused me confusion. It was spiritual disturbance for me when I would sit there at these assemblies. I don't
Right.
know how you felt as a little child or a young person growing up in this organization.
Oh yeah, I mean I can describe it for you. I mean, I grew up with severe depression and anxiety because you never know when Armageddon was going to come, and I didn't want to be anywhere else but the Kingdom Hall because that's your safe place. My mom would always talk about these types of scenarios, the emergency go bag. She would always have a scenario of if there's an emergency, what are you going to do? The first thing you're going to do is call elder so and so and you're going to run to the nearest Kingdom Hall and barricade yourself in there because those are the only buildings that are not going to be destroyed in Armageddon. So that's
Yeah,
what you're
I heard
growing up
that.
with.
Now look at the lightning shooting down on that tower. Is that Jesus and his God's vengeance or See, I used to think it was Jehovah that was going to do this, but it's really
Hmm.
Jesus, right? They're showing that now at
Right.
this summer assembly. And we know the Bible says that I actually looked it up in Revelation.
Hmm.
Now, look, we're going to get onto that in a bit here, but look at these guys.
No
That's a
scratches,
fake smile, right? Fake smile. He's forcing it
clean
for the
cut,
camera.
no
This guy
dust on
has
the
a real looking.
clothes.
This guy has a real smile. That guy's
Yeah.
smile was fake. But anyways, that guy's smiling, right?
Yes,
That
they're
guy's
happy.
smiling. Why are they happy?
Because the prophecy came true. This is what we've been waiting for. And Jesus finally came to take us and deliver us, I guess, to walk into paradise because this has to happen for us to get to paradise. So if Armageddon doesn't happen, then we haven't really been saved yet. So this needs to happen. And you should be happy that it happened because now that means you're going to be able to go to paradise.
So this one scene means something to JWs. Let's say you're a worldly person there for the first time. That's all they played, that one scene.
Mm-hmm.
on this Jesus movie. Just that one scene right there, the rock coming out of the mountain, hitting that statue. You remember what does that mean to you when you see this scene?
Oh yes. Yeah, that's Daniel's prophecy, right? Where
Yeah,
he depicts that yeah.
yeah.
But you know what? That rock actually looks like, if anybody has seen the Avengers Age of Ultron, that's exactly the same rock in the Avengers that they had to save themselves
Mhm.
from. Oh my god.
So here's Jesus. So now we want to talk about all these people walking out of the city, smiling and laughing. Now,
Mhm.
why you said that because you got saved from all of
Mhm.
that. That's why you're smiling, right?
Yes.
Why you're smiling. Well, are they looking back? No one's looking
No.
back like Lot's wife, right? They're not doing the Lot's wife thing. They're not
Mhm.
even, there's no empathy at all for the whole wide world. You see, the whole wide world is in that city. This is how I looked at it. The
Mhm.
whole wide world, all the government authorities, all of the national leaders, every religion out there that's trying to do good and help the poor and save people, they're all in that city. They're all dead. Why? Because they did not listen to a Jehovah's Witness at the door. And those governments
Yep.
went against the Jehovah's Witnesses. They, especially the Russian ones, are going to be in that city. That's all part of them. They're going to die. All of them. No more. That's
Um,
Satan's whole system. Dead.
do you notice that there's no small children here, Vern?
Okay, I don't see any.
I don't see any small children.
No babies.
No babies. Yeah, I don't see any small children. I just see
Not even little
middle-aged.
children. So you children, you're
Yeah.
probably not baptized, so you might not make it. You'll have to wait for the resurrection. Like that, could it be
Yeah.
that bizarre? That like this is the pictures that they're putting out. Pictures are worth a gazillion words. This is that right at the assembly, right before the public talk. It's their famous Jesus movie. They might as well run Christmas lights through it, right? But this is it. And right in this movie, it's teaching spiritual disturbance. The worldly people come in and sit down and look at this. What in the hell? They're going to say, "What the? Why are all these Jehovah's Witnesses laughing about all the people destroyed in that city? Shouldn't you be sad?"
Right.
The proper natural emotion is sadness, not
Mm-hmm.
laughing. There's something twisted in a
Mm-hmm.
person's mind. If you can laugh like those guys, let's watch this. If you can laugh like this after your relatives or your friends at school just got burnt and killed by Jesus, could you imagine the guilt you might feel? You had a really good friend. Maybe you didn't try hard enough. You're right now, you're feeling maybe I didn't try hard enough with my friend. My friends are in there. They're going to die. Well, of course, the tank guy's dead, the guy in the war guy. But these guys are all happy. There's no empathy. You
Yeah,
see
that's
that
kind of
this
sad.
is the spirit. This is the spiritual disturbance I'm talking about. It's
True.
a twisted mind. We're going to look at this next. Here, I'm going to remove this. We're not going to look at a lot of this. These assembly things do trigger people. I'm going to remove it. There we go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on. I got some information here. Spiritual disturbance. So here it is. Spiritual distress is a disturbance in a person's belief system. So if your belief system believes that, like as this is what we want to talk about. I wasn't raised that way. All these people dying. My mom and dad were good people. They're no longer with us, but my mom and dad are good people. So yeah, it's been disturbing to me when I was a JW. And that's why we end up with PTSD, cognitive dissonance. We have problems, mental problems, because we got to try to make sense of this stuff in our brains, and it doesn't make sense. God killing good people because they didn't accept a Bible study. You see, Watchtower has to wake up and smell the roses on this one. Everyone around the world knows this stuff. We're going to get into it. Spiritual distress, a disturbance in your belief system. So, uh, Ruby, when you were a young person, and you've seen this, it may not have disturbed you because you were raised to think this was normal.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Did it
Yeah, I
disturb you when
mean
you were little?
that's part of being a JW though. Like you have that underlying arrogance that you are better than the rest because you have the truth and that you deserve this because you've been doing, you've been going out in service, you've been trying to have Bible studies and convince people. And if they don't want the truth, then oh well, that's their decision. Because they say,
Yeah.
oh, Jehovah gives us free will. We can't force people if they don't want to be saved. Oh well. So you have like that little shrug, like, oh well. And that's why it's gonna be like they get the last word, like the last jab, like, you see, I was right and they're wrong, and they're gonna realize it now, and it's gonna be too late because the fireballs are coming.
You're right. So even as a little children, that caused you some PTSD, like trauma. It was a disturbance spiritually as a young
Right.
person. I don't know about my
Mm-hmm.
kids, what they think. Um, Anyways, as an approved nursing diagnosis, spiritual distress is defined as a disruption in life principles that pervades a person's entire being and that integrates and transcends one's. Now, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't even want to read and wrap my head around. There's better stuff here. So, what is spiritual disruption? What is spiritual disruption? Well, it's simply a disruption in a person's belief or value system. Really, quite that easy. So, spiritual disruption. So, JW's coming on this channel, Rick's channel, our channel, any of the channels watching. It's spiritual disruption. It's spiritual disturbance for them, you see. Do you remember when you first went on the channels? Were you spiritually disturbed? You were a JW. You get on these
Mm-hmm.
channels, you start looking at stuff and seeing stuff. Was there anything that spiritually disturbed you? Disturbed your spirituality? Do you want to, can you remember any?
Definitely. Well, what kind of channels are you referring to?
Well, I don't know. Any of the ones you watched on YouTube to wake you up?
Oh yeah, I was scared. It was
Yeah.
very, very scary, but I kind of wanted to pretend like I didn't see that, like this was an accident or
Yeah.
something. So you kind of lie to yourself and say, oh well, I didn't click on it, somebody showed it to me on their phone. I wasn't the one who was logging on to this kind of stuff. um but thankfully I listened to what they were actually saying and not so much of where it was coming from, because that was my brain protecting itself, like, okay, well, don't worry about the website or if it's apostasy or not, just focus on what they're actually saying. And that's what will, that is what made me
No,
feel a little bit better about myself.
that's great. Thanks, Ruby. So here's what it says here. It may occur when a person is unable to find sources of meaning, hope, love, comfort, strength, and connection in life, or when conflict occurs between his or her beliefs and what is happening in their life. It may affect his or her entire being. So I'm gonna read that slowly now. So when a person is unable to find sources of meaning, so we leave the JW religion, we're going online, and all of a sudden we have these holy crap moments over and over and over again. And I know for me, it made me angry at times, and I would walk away, and my good wife would wonder, what the heck's going on with him? There's nothing there to make you angry. But you see, to you and I as JWs, and they're changing the beard thing overnight, what's with that? Like, you've got it wrong for 100 years, and all of a sudden you got it right. What's with that? Why don't you just come out and say that you got it wrong for 100 years? You guys made a whole hell of a lot of mistakes and you're trying to fix your religion. Why give us the BS? You see, I'm more of a nuts and bolts guy, black and white guy. But that's how I deal with it. Everyone deals with it differently. So then we're unable to find a source of meaning, right? And hope, love, comfort, strength, and connection in life, or when conflict occurs between his or her beliefs and what's happening in their life, it may affect his or her entire being. So when we get out, it affects everything: our life's meaning, our hope, our love connection. We loved. Oh, wait a minute. Who did we love? Well, that brings us into a whole new topic. Who did we love? We loved the governing body. It boils down to we loved them over Jehovah God. We did, because we were not allowed to go beyond them. And when anything was a dispute in the Bible, we had to go to them. And we had to go to them when we went to the hospital. We had to go to them when we had a legal dispute. We had to go to them to get married. We had to go to them to find out if we're qualified to get married, if we're good enough to get married, and if the mate we're going to marry qualified to them. We had to go to them. Yeah. Who did we love? And if you make a mistake, where does everyone go? They go to the elders. They tell on you because they're taught that. They love the governing body. Everyone loves the governing body, right? And their faces are pasted all over everything. So let's get into love. Stockholm Syndrome. Have you ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome?
Yes.
So what would that, do you think it fits, Stockholm Syndrome? The main
I don't
relation.
know. I have mixed feelings about that because, I
Yeah.
mean, to my understanding, that means that they form a relationship with their captor or their abductor and they try to appease them so that they feel like, if I do good, if I make this guy happy, then he won't hurt me as much. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that can be translated into spirituality or,
Mhm.
how this organization has us emotionally wrapped up into them because they use our family and they try to blackmail us with that. So I don't think
Yeah.
I've experienced that. I don't think that I could actually speak to that, but I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, probably you haven't experienced. I think you spoke correctly. You nailed it. Let's take a quick look at this. As you know, I probably have something in front of me. Stockholm Syndrome is a coping mechanism to a captive or an abusive situation. So it depends on where you're at in the Watchtower. So if you feel like you're held captive in the Watchtower in a family, going to meetings, and you don't believe it, but you're held captive because maybe you will lose too much if you leave. Let's look at this. People
Mhm.
develop positive feelings toward their captors or abusers over time. And this condition applies to the situations including child abuse. And we know there's child abuse, lots of it in JW.org. It also applies to coach athlete abuse, relationship abuse, and sex trafficking. Treatment includes psychotherapy and talk therapy. Exactly what we're doing on this channel today, talk therapy. So anybody that wants to come on the channel today, I think Rick put up a StreamYard link right in front of us. So we encourage everyone and anyone to come on. That's what we're going to talk about today is spiritual abuse, spiritual disturbances, such as some of these graphic pictures that the Watchtower is pumping out. And we're going to talk about this just for a minute more. So the overview, what is Stockholm Syndrome? Well, it's a psychological response to being held captive. And it can happen. People, we've heard of it. JWs, especially younger people that feel like they're held captive. You're going to lose your car. Let's say mom and dad bought them a car if they get baptized. You see, yeah, I know this because I did this stuff, bought my kids a car. Now, people with Stockholm Syndrome form a psychological connection with their captors and begin sympathizing with them. So even mom and dad, you're a kid and you're growing up and you say, I know this stuff is wrong, right? Kids do. They grow up and they go to school and they learn other things at school. Kids are waking up at school. So they come home and they know some of this stuff's not right. But who's their captor? Mom and dad.
Okay, now I understand it a little bit better. I think that's probably the biggest reason why I cannot relate to it is because my mom homeschooled me. So she
Okay.
didn't really have anything, no outside exposure. So I was
Mhm.
that was the only thing that I knew to do. I did not know that this was fake or whatever. I thought that this was really the truth. And
Yeah. Most
and
kids,
when
some
I
kids do.
right. So some kids, and I do know of one person that he says that he woke up at 10
Mhm.
years old and now he's
Yeah.
18. And I'm like, at
I can
10
see
years
that.
old, I was getting baptized at 10 years old. What are you talking about? You was awake at 10
Really?
years old. What? So,
Mm,
there's it. I mean, that's a
yep.
good thing. But then I felt kind of like, dang, sometimes I wish I would have woken up sooner. But I mean, I wouldn't change anything for anything because this is what, it made me who I am today. But that
Good attitude.
yeah, definitely. But that
Yep.
like to blackmail you or to hold something hostage, to force you to do things like that. My mom really didn't do that. So I mean, I was already at the age of like young adulthood where I was making my own decisions. I
Mhm.
was already moved away from her household. So she just used herself. Oh, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like so that's like the parent wiping their hands with you saying, I'm not gonna be a mother anymore, basically. And at that point, I was like, I don't care. So I guess that's how my coping mechanism like saved myself, was not caring. And so that can also be a dangerous, mentality, because then you don't care about
It
anything.
is.
And so,
Right.
yeah, I had to work that out. But yeah, that's the coping mechanism. It's just, I don't care, because you can't hurt me if I don't care. You can't hurt me if I don't believe in this, then it doesn't pertain to me anymore. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. So I no longer am going to put myself or personalize this as if this is what's going to happen to me if I don't do X, Y, and Z. I was like, no, I don't believe in it. So therefore, it doesn't apply to me.
Well, they held me captive for 30 years, right? That's how I look at it.
Hmm.
I was psychologically held captive in that religion for 30 years. Now, people with Stockholm syndrome form a psychological connection with their captors. They sympathize with them. I used to do that. I used to say, well, you know what? It's not the society, it's not the faithful slave, it's the elders. Those elders didn't follow the elders book. They didn't follow the Bible. You
Right.
see, we
You
used to make
used it for
excuses,
them.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're sympathizing with our captors. These captors will kill us. They'll send guards to the hospital to make sure that we don't take blood and live. Think of it. That's what they're doing. They're killing us. If we decide we don't want to take a blood transfusion, they send guards there. They watch. When you sign that paper, those guards, those HLC members, they can look at our files. They can see if we took blood. You'd have to be very covert with doctors and medical staff, and they may not want to get involved, because once you sign that card and take it to your doctor, you're hooped. That's a legal document, and they're not going to play games, because Watchtower has deep pockets and they sue the asses off hospitals, and that's how they try to get more money to pay for their CSA cover-ups, their legal bills. Watchtower is Satan disguised. We talk about an angel of light.
Yes.
That's Watchtower. I'm sorry.
Yes, it
They're
is.
the only ones on earth, the only religion, the only ones on earth that believe the Magi are from the devil, and the star of the Magi is from the devil. The only ones on earth that believe that. Why? Uh, because Satan doesn't want anybody to know that Jesus is glorified. Satan wants to hide Jesus' glory, right? It's like,
I believe
I go
that.
back to the whole God thing, and how they're stripping women of privileges in the organization. Even
Hmm.
Rick was talking about that on the news.
Hmm.
Well, when it comes right down to it, God gave birth to. God is a woman. End of my discussion in court. God's a woman. God gave birth to. We're done.
Um.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, okay. Now I believe that Adam gave the fruit to Eve, or he was at least there, and it was a mutual decision.
Yeah,
But
definitely
JW,
mutual.
you notice JW Org painted the woman taking that fruit, and they made it the woman and giving it to the guy. If you looked at that video, it was from the
Yes, I
convention
remember. I
video.
was there with you guys. I was in the chat
Yeah,
and I could not believe it. But that's the narrative that they want to set. You see, Jay,
yeah,
that's another thing that irks me, is that they always want to make themselves seem different, or like we have a new take on this or new light.
yeah.
They're always trying to make themselves relevant, and it's not gonna work. I mean, not with Christianity. I mean, you can do other, trends, but with Christianity, that's just one thing that I feel is like unchanged. Like, this is what Jesus said, and that's it. You know what I mean? There's no other interpretation, but they always want to make it seem as if they got the upper hand with some type of knowledge, as if they speak to Jehovah themselves. And then they come out and they say, oh, we're not inspired. And I'm like, what you mean? Then who's talking to you? Where are you getting this new light from if you're not talking to God?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me started. I'm gonna start ranting.
Oh no, we like that.
No, it's crazy. It really is. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, that's what woke me up. I grew up thinking that these are the men who speak to Jehovah. Like,
Yes.
direct
Yeah.
channel to Jehovah, and whatever trickles down from them down to your local elder is coming from Jehovah. And that's where the respect is, because you respect God, and then you respect the men he put in place. But if those men are doing things that don't make sense, they're covering up stuff, they're changing the Bible literally.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but Jehovah's not there.
No, you nailed that. Now, here's a question for you. People who have Stockholm syndrome, here's what they have. See, and the question is, can you relate to any of these feelings? I can. Now, people who have Stockholm syndrome have positive feelings toward the captors or abusers. Now, if we were to say the governing body, we would always say, well, and Gary Bro got up and he said the governing body never lies. They always
Mhm.
tell the truth. You see, people believe that, right? They believe that.
Mhm.
Well, everyone, that's like to go to Christ Jesus, say, who of you are sinners? And the governing body say, we don't sin. We never
Mhm.
lie. We never,
Mhm.
like, come on, guys. We all know, well, we all should know better than that. But you see, JWs don't. They believe
Mhm.
that. They believe that they never lie. They believe what Gary Bro says. Now,
Right.
here's the other thing. People who have Stockholm syndrome have sympathy for their captors' beliefs and behaviors. Sympathy. So you're a JW. You hear about all of these cover-ups, sexual abuse cover-ups on the news, right?
Mhm.
And I even said this to my good wife before I started getting into this channel. I said, well, it's really the people. It's just the people weren't following the Bible. And they have good rules. Like, I thought they had good rules, right? You probably thought they had good rules, and people weren't following them. And then they get disfellowshipped, and then they get online and start these channels up. I told my good wife that. I was talking about some creators that we don't mention much, but yeah, that's what I thought. Here I get online, I find out there's all kinds of really smart people like yourself, Ruby. Now,
Oh.
other symptoms are similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. They
Mhm.
include flashbacks, feeling distrustful, irritated, jittery, or anxious, or you can't relax or enjoy things that you previously enjoyed, or you have trouble concentrating. Have you ever felt any of those things?
Some of those things, yes. Yeah, some of those things, yes, but that was after the awakening. After the awakening, I thought that I could make excuses and say, okay, well, the system is great, it's just the people are corrupt. You want to make that excuse, but
Yeah. Well,
that quickly came crumbling down for me, very quick.
I think this next statement fits you. This next statement here. It says, what causes Stockholm syndrome? It says researchers don't know why some captives develop Stockholm syndrome and others don't. So there's others like yourself. It doesn't fizz on them. You go from, and I
Right.
don't. I tend to fight. If I feel closed in and held captive, I fight. Maybe you're a bit of a fighter too. don't know.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I think that is more accurate for me, because I am not the type to just sit down and be quiet. And I
Yeah.
think that's why my mom really hated that about me, and she used to say, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
just like your father." And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, but so what? What if what I'm saying is true? Does it really matter who I'm acting like? So they never really take you for you, and that's that would tick me off. And then that's what made me all that nonsense of caring about your abuser or whatever. No, I was like, I'm throwing you out the window and everybody else with it because this doesn't make any sense. So I was really that type. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but I was that type.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're the right person doing what you're doing now. You're using your skills. That's why I always say we're all in training somehow in that
Yeah.
organization. Now we're in a time that I think a lot of religions that are hiding CSA are falling. Like they're going to get sued. Their arse is sued off them. So that could cause them to turn their lights off. It has with some. Um, I guess when there's not enough money to pay out the all the lawsuits, because insurance companies was it you that was covering that or watching Watchtower? Insurance companies are not covering CSA for some of these churches. They're saying no, you're not insurable. 2024,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not insuring you for CSA. Um, okay, so here let's get back to the topic. One theory is that it's a learned technique passed from down from ancestors, the Stockholm syndrome. And in the early civilization, there was always a risk of being captured or killed by another social group. And bonding with captors increased the chance of survival. Like the Romans, they like to captivate people, but they wouldn't kill them all. They just kind of blend them in and form one religion. So it says some evolutionary psychiatrists believe this ancestral technique is a natural human trait, the Stockholm syndrome. Another theory is that a captive or abuse situation is highly emotionally charged, and people adjust their feelings and start having compassion for their abuser when they're shown some kindness over time. Now, what I think is we used to think the governing body is the only channel to Jehovah, and they're showing us the paradise, and we have to like them, right? We have to trust them. That's so.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we're showing kindness because of what we're going to get. We're going to get paradise, right? You see, it's all false. We know it's all fake now, but that's how they were gaining people. So this term
Right.
Stockholm syndrome could fit. It says also by working with and not fighting against an abuser, victims may secure their safety. So let's say it comes to disfellowshipping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you lose safety when you're disfellowshipped. You lose contact with your parents,
Mm-hmm.
grandparents, siblings, all your friends at the hall, right? You
Mm-hmm.
lose all of that. You might even lose employment if you're employed by a JW because they don't want you around and you probably don't feel good being there. So you end up looking for new employment, right? So you lose it. Or because they're not allowed to fire you legally, but
Right.
some do. There was a lawsuit here in Alberta
Mm-hmm.
over uh, that kind of a thing. A brother or a victim,
Mm-hmm.
let's call it victims, right? These victims
Right.
lost employment by getting disfellowshipped. Lost because his employment was with all these JWs. So he
Mm-hmm.
was he was basically he was homeless and he had no work. Lost all his employment
Right.
overnight.
Can I ask you a question, Vern?
Sure. Yeah,
Were
go ahead.
you were you born in or did you convert?
I converted when I was 18 years old.
Okay. Okay. You see that I am noticing this with
Well,
I'm noticing the difference. So with converts, they usually sound like you. I mean, no offense, but like
no worries. Yep.
for born-ins, I think that's why it's completely different for me because I was literally born and raised into this. I did not know anything else. And so with that mentality, I grew
Hmm.
up with the feeling of, well, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I got the birthright to go to paradise. I don't have to prove anything. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
I didn't ever think of that.
yeah. So I mean, that's why I said that's the little bit of arrogance that we have laying underneath our goodness, caring for people, going door to door, finding sheep. But in reality, the way I felt was I was born into this, right? I'm lucky enough to be born into the
Mhm.
truth. I know the truth. I accept the truth. I believe in Jehovah and Jesus. That's all I really need. Then my mom said, well, you should get baptized, because I was dealing with a lot of depression and I don't know why. So baptism is just the outward expression of Jehovah's
Yes.
approval. So but I didn't really need baptism, because I felt like I'm born and raised in this. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to seek out privileges or
Mhm.
anything, because I am born into this. I'm set for life. So that was the shift for me, is that when they're trying to force me to do things, I'm like, I don't have to do that. Brother brother Vern has to do that because he converted. Okay, but I don't have to do that. I was born and raised in this, and I'm a woman. I don't need to get privileges. I could just marry a brother, and I'm good to go. So that's the mentality, like literally, that my mother had me raised in, that I didn't really have to work for anything. I just got to get married, and if I could get an elder's son, oh, forget about it. I'm set. So that's just that's the difference that I'm seeing here.
You got my good
And
wife laughing.
yeah, I know, but it's so true, like for real. And I mean, that's the only reason that allowed me, I guess, is to not have those feelings that you're describing. Is because, I mean, at the same time, they kicked me out. I didn't say I was an apostate, or that I didn't believe in God, or that I wasn't Christian. So I'm looking at them like, no, you can't tell me I don't have everlasting life. I was born. This is my birthright, because Jehovah approves of me. I don't need your approval. So that right there, that attitude, that I don't need the elders, I don't need the meetings, I don't need the congregation, I got Jehovah. That's what they don't like.
Independence, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's interesting. That's an eye opener for me, and that's why I like having you on. It gives the audience a completely different angle when we look at subjects. I'm I came in when I started chasing a girl when I was 18, and I ended up getting baptized when I was about 21. But I came in over love, and I never did find it. I didn't find it in the organization, and I
Yeah.
got disappointed many times. But that's why I started coming in. That's why my show's a little bit about live your life with love, right? Because it is
Mhm.
out there. You got to search. You won't find it. Well, some people find a good partner in JW Oregon. They leave together as a good partner. Look at Joe and Fran. There's a good example.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let me look here. Diagnostic tests, syndrome diagnosis, management and treatment, um, outlook and prognosis, additional comments and question. Gets into child abuse and stuff like that. Now, this is from the Cleveland Clinic. This is a U.S. study. These are new things. They're really studying up on JWs. Now, I want to show you, I found a correlation between this, and I couldn't get most of the article because you got to pay for it, but it's a correlation between religion and Stockholm syndrome. I'll read you what I have. Now, we just explained what it is. This says Stockholm syndrome is often defined as when a hostage develops an empathetic psychological connection with their captor. And the reason this happens is clearly the hostage is the victim. Is that the hostage subconsciously figures out, as seems reasonable, that if they are nice to their captors, they will receive better treatment in exchange. And that's true. So if you're nice to the elders, what happens?
You
So
get
if
more
you're being nice to
privileges.
the elders, they even tell
Yes.
you if you're nice to the elders, you're nice. It's like they're Jesus brothers. It's like you're being nice to Jesus brothers. They compare they actually compare the faithful slave, those 9 men
Mhm.
in New York. They compare them to Jesus brothers, right? They make them look
Right.
like Jesus brothers. You're being nice to Jesus brothers. That's what they used to tell us at the Kingdom Home.
Mm.
So we end up with this being nice to our captors. Jesus brothers, if they capture through the elders, through all those different eyes, if they see you doing anything wrong, like worldly association, they're going to pull you in the back room, and maybe someone says, Ruby sure has a lot of worldly boyfriend or a boyfriend at school. He has a worldly, and they go and some elder's daughter goes in and tells her elder's dad, right? You ever have that happen? stuff like that?
No.
Oh.
You see, my mother, she was a fanatical Jehovah's Witness. I was
Oh.
spotless. Okay, I was perfect. I was the role model. I was the
Mm.
child that was the only child that was, like rarely other children were baptized. I was usually the only
Yeah.
one until like the kids of elders, they were getting baptized. So I was at the same level of them. So I was spotless. So yeah, I
Really?
grew up with that perfect. Yes. Yeah.
Well, now you're using the spotless skills in a good way.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah,
really
I mean,
good.
until I got in trouble, until I became a teenager and everything changed and went
Yeah.
downhill. But I mean, yeah.
Okay. Here's the finality of this. And I can't read anymore because I'd have to buy the article, but it says the writer says, I propose that the process by which Stockholm syndrome sets in subconsciously is a tool that ministers like the JW org, ministers of faith, use consciously to trick those in their congregation into becoming ardent followers of their own supposed violation. Now, did you follow all of that? They use some words there. Well, basically what they're saying is, yeah, this guy who wrote this article believes that the Stockholm syndrome, like you think subconsciously when it sets in like from birth, you're from birth, so by age 7 you subconsciously are programmed. They control your mind
Yes.
by
Yes.
age 7. That's why kids are getting baptized by age 10. And they think it's because they're controlled. They're controlled into it. Little robots. They go to school. A lot of the stuff on JW.org is geared towards little kids preaching the good news door to door and at school. You notice that?
Hey, Vern,
Yeah.
Vern and Ruby, this is Rick of the Six Screens. We got people who want to talk to you guys. Can we open up the
Yeah.
lines or bring people
Oh,
on?
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
no.
Come on
Well,
in.
let's
We're
do that.
done here.
Well, let's bring Gilbert. Let's bring Gilbert in right now. Gilbert, there you are. Say hello to Vern. Say hello
Hey,
to
Gilbert.
Ruby.
How you doing, Gilbert?
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Good.
I was going to talk about something, but Ruby, she kept talking about the birthright, and
Yeah.
did you notice that? Talking about that? And then when you go on on GG for GB, you'll see where on the voting ballot it says accept your birthright. God is your father.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Let
yeah.
no man get between you and your father. It's a very simple concept.
There.
So the point is real simple, and that leads me to this point that I'm going to put here in the comments section in the chat. And this is what helped me a lot being a Jehovah's Witness elder. In the chat, you'll see, maybe you guys can highlight it, 1 Peter 4:15. However, let none of you suffer this is from the Watchtower Bible, as a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or as a busybody in other people's affairs.
Mm-hmm.
So
only Rick can put the comments up, I think.
Well,
Only Rick can put the comments up.
Oh, but this is the point. The point is, I got it right there. So the point is this.
Yeah.
This is from the Watchtower Bible. And if you notice, busybodies are in the same sentences as murderers, thieves, and evildoers. Let that sink in. Why do people die of suicide? Because of busybodies, really, at that point, at that end. So this is why I say accept your birthright. When you understand that it's just between you and your father and nobody else, well, the likelihood of busybodies causing damage to you, well, it goes down. And there was another point I was going to bring up, but that was the point, the busybody. Oh, and in my channel, you'll notice if you do the search, you type in the phrase that I coined, and it goes to what you're talking about. This is spiritual adultery. See, what happens is the whole thing about Watchtower is you're always in an adulterous relationship when you're a Jehovah's Witness. Whether you're married, whether you're dating, there's always somebody in your life trying to dictate the rules.
Point.
So a man, so it's spiritual adultery. Well, of course it's a good point, Vern. That's why I'm elected GG for GB. But the point being is when you understand that people are always trying to get into your life, this is not new. It's a spiritual adultery. Then you're able to see it. Everyone. So one thing is to have an opinion. But I'll give you an example. Like, say a man is dating a woman, right? And then, brings her into his house. They stay till 2, 3 in the morning. She falls asleep in his arms. But the Jehovah's Witnesses are in. They say, "Oh no, you must have had sex because you were there."
Yeah.
Adultery
Yep.
thing. Everything is somebody getting in, and it could have been as innocent as apple pie. That you talked to a woman till she just fell asleep, and you just held her, and then the crack of dawn came, and you took her home. No sex, no nothing, just a beautiful night. But you can't have that in the Jehovah's Witness religion, and many other examples just like that, because the adulterous affair, or like you saw right there in the comment section, of where you're a busybody. And remember, if you are a busybody and you meddle in other people's affairs, never forget that you are linked in the same sentence as murderers, evildoers, and thieves, because that's what busybodies do. Everyone here in this video complains about how Watchtower stole from you. That's what busybodies do. So read that Bible text, and it's from the Jehovah's Witness Bible, and it really helps you understand how we really need to learn how to mind our own business when it comes to other people's affairs. But when you're a brother, this is why I say, accept your birthright. God is your father, you're his son. When you're a brother, like I have my friend Joel, the Unwitnessed. I called him about an hour ago, and I go, "Joel, you always call me, and I'm always giving you advice. But today, the GG for GB needs your help. He's my brother. We talk. We share."
Joel, Jesse?
No, from the Vassal Posse Hour. But this is the whole point I'm trying to make, is that when we're brothers, we're not being judgmental or busybody in our affairs. We talk about our problems, our issues. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, you can't, because if you were to tell him something personal, he is going to go tell the elders, or there you enter the busybody. A brother isn't a busybody. A brother, like I said, when you accept your birthright, that God is your father, you're his son, when you understand that you're dealing with another man who thinks the same way, that, hey, it's just between me and God, I'm not going to get into your affairs, but I'll get into your affairs as a loving brother to give you good counsel, and take it for what it's worth, 2 pennies, right? 2 cents. So that's the problem right there in that Bible text, and it's in Jehovah's Witnesses Bible. Don't be a busybody, friends.
Good point. Yep.
You're doing a great job, Vern. You're making Rick look good, and you too, Ruby. And that's the job.
You know what? We're all a community. None of us are here to look better or whatever. I'm just in the sea can here, so. Rick has air conditioning, right, Rick? Do you have air conditioning, Rick, with the tie on?
Yeah, no, I got air conditioning on. Things are going good here. But I'll tell you what, we got the telephone line. It's always good to see Gilbert.
Put some people on.
We've got the telephone line, so let's open that up. Hit *6. Say hello to Vern. Come on right now. Say hello to Ruby. They're on here.
Don't be shy.
They want to hear from you. Thank you, Gilbert.
Yes, Gilbert.
You're wrong.
Go ahead.
Because I am
Gilbert.
So we're all equal, but I'm just a little bit. No, see you later.
Well, Gilbert, you got our vote.
Well, thanks, Gilbert.
Okay, let's go to let's go to 925. You're on with us, 925. What would you like to say? 925, go ahead. Say hello to Vern. Say hello to Ruby. You're on with us.
Hello, 925.
Okay. Hit *6. Okay, there you go. Go ahead. You're all set to go. Go ahead, 925. Okay, 925. You're on with us. Okay, let's go to 978. Go ahead, Dick. I think that's you.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Vern and Ruby. Vern, I really enjoy your YouTube videos, especially the one on vibrations. Where did you get that information from? Thank you.
I don't think I did a video on vibrators. I couldn't help that one. You had that one coming.
Oh,
Vibrations. What did I do? I don't know. I move from topic to topic so quick. I don't know what I read. We're all vibrations, right? All of us, we vibrate. Nothing is solid. You think a rock is solid. You think the sea can is solid. It feels solid, but it's just that the molecules are moving faster together. So we all vibrate. And if we can raise or elevate our vibrations, our frequencies, it's through love and positive energy. And that's how we increase our vibrations. If we're depressed, alcohol will lower your vibrations as well. So a lot of us, and I know I did this, I got into a lot of alcohol. When I quit, I got depressed because I had no association. I had no friends. They wouldn't call me anymore. And then I'd call them and they'd say, well, you kind of left, and I had one friend that came out, and then all of a sudden they made an announcement. Once you meet with two elders, they make an announcement, right? So my vibrations went way down, and because that's what happened, so now we know in this community that as XJWs coming out, as leaving this organization, we all need a community, because if you don't have a community, if you don't have friends, it could depress you. It depresses most people. You're very unusual if you can do this without getting depressed, without drinking alcohol or doing something to help fight it. I went to the doctor too, and the doctor here prescribed me with CBD oil. It's not like the stuff that makes you high. It's a stuff that actually levels you out a bit, but it actually increases your vibrations. That's the difference between the CBD, and it's legal in most places. Most doctors can regulate, or they do that. Up here in Canada, they do. Anyways, and so they gave me the CBD. That was kind of weird for me as a JW, but it's in the Elders book now. They're okay with it. The Elders book. If you have a doctor's prescription, they recognize that stuff works, and even in their Elders book, they're saying it's okay, because they try to get into all the medical business of your life. These elders, you're best not to tell them what you're doing. And the CBD oil, little things, they don't stink. There's no stink to them. They're like little oil. You ever take cod liver oil? That's kind of what it is like. And you just take one of those a day. It's like about $13 a month. It's not that expensive. And I found that it helped me a lot. I quit drinking alcohol. I leveled out, and then you get to a point where you're okay. You're okay again. And once you can figure out your head, keep your vibrations up. It's when we get negative, we get reminiscing too much about the past. That's a circle, by the way. We just play a record. It's a record we play over and over again. And if we're playing a negative record, our vibrations will be lower and we will die younger. You'll die quicker. There's lots of things on vibrations. It's an interesting topic. I think we should talk more on it. But I talked long enough. Caller, you go ahead, talk some more. Thanks for that point. And thanks for the commendation on the video. I do appreciate that. It's interesting topics.
Vern, this is Rick's wife, and I was just going to say, we really enjoy all of your videos, but I think the one that's probably the most helpful to people that if they're not familiar with who you are is what you have on Monday nights going through Shepherd the Flock book and just keeping people up to date on the latest rules and regulations that the elders have on all the members, and just fellowshipping. My goodness, the pages go on and on and on. So we just wanted to say thank you. Wanted to say hello to you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So thank you.
We're gonna keep running that Monday night, but I got to take a break here this summer, so we'll it'll be soon. Probably we'll get back at. We're gonna try to do a few conventions, and you know how that goes. So summer's a little different. Just like Eric's not here today. Probably summer holidays. Everyone needs a summer holiday, right, Ruby?
Vern, are you going to try to make it to the 2025 Boston convention?
We're actually planning that. Yeah, we're going to get our planning. We're talking to Ruby about that. We're going to hoping to get our passports here, get settled into our new place. And I used to have a passport. We used to travel uh, 10 years ago, and then the virus came, and I used to travel a lot with work, so I actually don't like traveling anymore. But to travel out to see Rick in Boston and stay at the Hilton, holy smokes, that's going to be a lot of fun, Rick. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. What do we say?
Well, if you if
2025,
we,
right? What's
we
it
can
going to
get
be like in 2025?
if we can get you and Ruby out here, you'll certainly have a part in the program. In fact, on Saturday night, I've already put people in place. We're judging YouTube videos now. With so many people making videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
we're going to give awards to all of those people that are making a real difference. So Saturday night is going to be really good. We've got people involved with judging and watching, and also the people coming to the convention will be able to watch these YouTubes
Yep.
and be able to make some type of an evaluation of it. So we're looking forward to that, Vern. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun, Rick. We've been
All right.
watching your show and watching you talk about it. We're looking forward to this.
Well, thank you. Let's go to 510. 510, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello. 510.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can
Hello?
hear you. Hello.
Am I in?
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead, 510.
Okay. Well, this is great. I'm new. I'm brand new. This is
Brandon.
Tony Baloney. It's Tony Baloney. What's the subject today?
Well, the subject.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want, Tony Baloney. So, I mean, what would you like to say, Tony Baloney?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's a perfect subject.
Is it?
That's a perfect subject.
Well,
Yeah.
when you're talking about the Watchtower is a perfect subject. Well, thank you, Tony Baloney.
Okay,
Thank you for coming on with us.
I've been watching you and Vern, and now what's her name over here?
Ruby.
Ruby's a new person, right, for the first time. But I've been watching you, Rick Farron, and Vern, who you guys are veterans, all throughout my entire life for about 3-4 years now, as far as SJW.
Well, have we helped you or stumbled you?
Pardon me?
Have we helped you? Have we helped you or have we stumbled you?
Oh no! Of course you helped me. You helped me tremendously.
I was just reading Goat to
Where
Scout.
do I start?
Good as
Where do I start?
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling in, caller. We really appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. Come back and see us again. Anyone want to? Good. Thank you. Go ahead. Those listening in tonight, go ahead and hit *6. Come on. Say hello to Vern. Say hello to Romeo. Say hello to Ruby. We'd love to have you. Go ahead, 312. You're on with us, Chicago, Illinois. Yeah.
I just wanted to thank Vern and Ruby for the video that they did. They make it plain that it's a recap of someone else's video, but it was all about the countries where Jehovah's Witnesses are banned, and they went over country by country, and if they knew the reason why they were banned, they elaborated. And so I just really enjoyed that video. Being born in the way Ruby is, I was the same way. You kind of think that the Jehovah's Witnesses are the center of the universe, and then once you leave and you look at the world as it really is, you realize how inconsequential and small Jehovah's Witnesses are as a so-called religion. They're a drop in the bucket. And then they'll find out however many countries it is that they're actually banned here. It is really amazing. And it really shows you this organization is not from God. It is not of divine origin, because certainly God has the power to overcome any obstacle to the witnesses being able to get into that country and preach. So it just shows you that they're not from But I really enjoyed that video.
Thank you. Yep.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's Ruby. That guy was from South Africa. I was trying to remember, right?
Yeah, so that's XJW Monica. She's a South African XJW, and she makes videos about, Jehovah's Witness stuff, but she also does makeup tutorials. So she's really good, and she made that video recently. She's coming out with a part 2. So whatever she updates, me and Vern are gonna do that on our little show on Fridays.
Now, the other guy that he may have been talking about is that other guy. Was he from Ethiopia or something? That was in another language and it was subtitles.
Okay, that was Mozambique, which somebody did mention on the other show. That was the brother who was outed. He was exposed. So the elders were threatening him to open up his phone, to give them information that he could
Yep.
not leave until they gave him that information. And so that he was under the name Warwick Pimo. And so now
Oh,
his
really?
identity. Yes. So he went to the news and he got a lawyer because the elders were threatening him. So that is new news. And me and Vern covered that as well, because that is super, super crazy in my opinion. And I am so glad that he went to the news.
Was that guy the Warwick Pimo, the original Warwick Pimo? That guy that was
I
the
guess
one?
I guess so. Because I don't know. I haven't heard of him before under
Mhm.
that name. But if the community can let us know in the chat if you guys do know of Warwick Pimo. I think he was a leaker on Reddit, and so that's where they were
Mhm.
trying to expose him.
Yeah. And they deported him. Watchtower, right? Back to his country. Watchtower.
I have no clue. I guess we're gonna have to investigate. Ooh, we're gonna have to do
Okay.
some.
Well, 6609, 6609. Come
Good
on.
question.
609. Come on, Larry. Yeah,
Hello to Vern and Ruby. It's a wonderful pleasure to listen to you tonight. I'm just interested in just a little of your background, what caused you to fall out of the truth. I'll just give my own story here very quickly in a nutshell to first answer it for myself. I'm a former Bethelite, and when I fell out of the truth, quote unquote, the reason was I was just
Eric.
I was just exhausted.
Hello, Eric.
And felt worn out and exhausted.
Maybe.
But the point being that at that moment I had no real, disagreement with doctrine or Bible teachings. So in a sense, I was still in the truth, but I fell out because of exhaustion. I was never disfellowshipped. But then shortly after, there were two big issues that really hit me, and then I knew that they were wrong. So it came after for me, and I'll be very brief. One, of course, hit me was the whole 144,000 doctrine. I could easily and quickly realize that was all a bunch of phony baloney, and they were completely wrong on that. Then the second issue that hit me, so I knew that the witnesses were wrong. The second issue was I realized and I knew the tremendous amount of pain, suffering, and hurt in the world, and this tremendous amount of pain and suffering for all humanity since the very beginning of humanity, whenever that was. So that was such an overwhelming fact for me, and it is an absolute fact that it caused me to lose faith, not only in the witnesses, but even in God himself, that there couldn't be a loving God. So that's my story in a nutshell. I'd be interested from both of you if you could tell me, first of all, no doubt you had just slight gray doubts here and there as you were a faithful witness. And then there was one big thing that hit you that caused you to fall right out of the truth. What would it be?
What was your name again, caller? So I can use your name.
This is Larry from the
Larry?
state New Jersey.
New Jersey. Larry, good question. Your thinking or why you left is similar to mine. I had spiritual disturbance, just like you. I was spiritually disturbed that my family was going to have my worldly family. You see, I was a convert at 18. I came in and I was chasing after love. I fell in love with a girl, and she wasn't baptized. She had a worldly father. Her mom was a JW, and her mom said, "Well, ask your dad." And her dad was worldly, and he liked me, so he said, "Oh yeah, you can date this guy. He's a farm boy." So we dated, and I wanted to marry her because I knew I went to the Kingdom Hall, and they said, "Well, you got to get married." And I agreed. I said, "I don't mind these rules," and so I gave her an engagement ring. I was only 17, right? 18, coming on 18. And so her mom said, "No, you guys are too young." And then she gave me my ring back, and it really hurt my feelings. So I never ever called her back ever again. I moved away, and I ended up getting baptized. I ended up getting married, and I stayed in the truth, the so-called truth, for 30 years. I ended up spearheading unassigned territory. I really liked the ministry. I didn't mind it. And so I spearheaded some unassigned territory in the northern Canada and none of it. And I went to all these little communities that had never had people go there before. And I used to tell the brothers, I said, "Why don't you guys all come up? I'll pay all your bill," because I ended up getting work up there. And so all the elders, none of them ever came up. And I had to basically hire other brothers from other congregations to come up with me. And then one day, my kids got into trouble, and the elders comes up to me, and I didn't even know about it that they got into trouble. Well, one of my kids, and the elder comes up to me, he says, "Do you know about this and this?" And I said, "What?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "We're going to have a big meeting," because I was a regular pioneer. So they had a big meeting, and I lost all my privileges because I'm not running my household in a fine manner. And they pulled me off of everything. And so then we're plugging along, and I went to sign out the territory the next year, and they said, "Yeah, no, you can't even preach in it. You're not running your own family." I said, "Well, can I preach at home?" They said, "Oh yeah, you can preach here." "Well, why can't I preach up there?" "Well, because that's a privilege. You don't have any privileges." I says, "Really?" I says, "Well, then you guys, because no one's going to tell me when I can preach or when I can't preach." That's what I felt. I didn't say any of that, sorry. So I felt that inside. I went up and I phoned the guy at the territory desk. You feel a lot of things. You feel like saying it at the time, but you don't. But I phoned the guy at the territory desk, and I says to him in Canada here at the Bethel, and I says, "Look, I'm not going to do this no more. I can't preach up north." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, one of my kids got into trouble and can't preach now. I lost all my privileges." So he says, "Well, are you going to go up?" And I said, "Well, I got all these contracts now. I got all these fire alarm contracts, and I got to go up now to keep my word, right? But I can't preach. It's kind of a waste of time." So the brother said from Bethel, he says, "Well," and he was just a young guy, him and his wife. He said, "We got some holidays coming up. If there's somehow we could get down there, we would go with you." And I said, "Well, that's easy. I got like a gazillion air miles. I used to have a business, and I ended up with all these air miles because we'd buy everything through our Visa. They used to allow it, but they don't no more. They didn't at the end. But anyways, I accumulated tons of air miles. We'd run $1 million for the Visa, so we'd have all these air miles. So I flew the Bethel brother and his wife out to across Canada, which was typically like an $800 ticket each. And then I flew them up north. That's like a $3,000 ticket each. And then I put them up in a hotel, which is $360 a night. And then you feed them. For sure, it's like 25 to $35 breakfast. The meals are way higher than here. Like a jug of milk up there, it's like $10. Nothing's cheap.
Wow.
These are fly-in communities. Unassigned. That's why they're unassigned. No one's there. There was never, when I went up, there was not a Jehovah's Witness that stepped their foot on the ground of these territories ever. So we signed them all out, a lot of territories out, and started. Well, I did, I guess, through this elder that I got to go with me from another congregation. And I wrote, that was one of my first books I wrote. So I wrote a book. It was only a 20-page book on the experience that first year in 2007. And the elder took the book and said, well, you can't publish that. No one can publish books. So then he took it and fixed the spelling. I had some spelling errors, and I had a pictorial book. And so he sent that out to this I don't know, it's like a whole bunch of JWs on this email stream. I still have the email stream. And he sent the book out and said, yeah, this is a book I put together from our trip. Like, he completely took credit for it all. I knew it's just the way these elders are, right? Some of them. I'm not saying all these elders are bad, but some of them are they want the prominence, right? And he never ever went back. He demonized some of the territory, but at the end of the day, my kids got into trouble. I couldn't preach, and this is about by 2011. So we started in 2007, kept going up every year. You know, fire alarm contracts, you got to recertify them every year. So it was a good gig. Paid our trip. They were used to paying money to get people up there. I was doing all the contracts for northern stores, and they'd fly me all over the place to all these territories. So they said, you can't preach. So Bethel came up, and he says, there's nothing really in the Bible that says you can't preach. In fact, the Bible says you should preach. But he says, I understand the elders. A body of elders is very strong. But he says, really, it is, you can preach because you can preach at home. You know, it's not like you have any issues. He says, this happens all the time. Lots of brothers have to deal with this. So then he says, you know what you can do? Just don't tell anybody. Fly up and do all your work, do all the territory, phone me at Bethel, let me know, but don't tell anybody. And so when we were up there, the brother says, we went to all the drum dances. He says, well, why wouldn't you? You got to know about their spirituality. Like, he helped me wake up, this brother from Bethel. He said, and all the other elders that I brought up, this was like since 2007 to 2011. So how many years is that? It's a few years of going up there. And all the other elders would not go near a drum dance. They were afraid of it. They said they were demonized. This brother and his wife, the wife went out on the boat with all the RCMPs. All the RCMPs, she went fishing. And I said to the brother, I said, are you not worried? Like, you know, and she was nice looking and everything. And I said, you have a lot of trust, man. And he says, you know what? He says, that's how you meet people. Those RCMPs, you're never going to meet them anywhere. Like, they knew. These guys knew how to preach. This couple. They were probably in their mid-30s, they weren't that old. I phoned back. So I flew back. We all flew back. I think I had to fly them a few days early so they could catch a connection to Bethel. And I flew back, finished my work, and I thought about it all the way back on the plane flight. And I put everything together. And when I got to my house, I said to my she's my ex-wife now. She's still a JW. And I said to her, I said, I think we're going to get out of here, move, sell the place. And she said, oh yeah. And it was a good time to do it. You know, kids have left home now by then, both my kids. And I just lost all my privileges. My son kind of moved out. And so I says, it's a good time to move. I put the house up for sale, and it sold in a week. And I asked top dollar. I didn't give it away. I sold in a week. And so we packed up in a hurry, moved out of there, moved out to the farm. I had my records transferred, and I went to 2 meetings. And then I quit. Wouldn't go back to another meeting.
So
and then we took on the Hutterite colony territory, and my ex-wife left with a Hutterite. And I divorced her. It's the end of it.
So you would say that at one time, of course, for many years, then you were a faithful and zealous Jehovah's Witness, and you finally fell out of the truth, simply, well, not simply, but maybe we'll call it for personal reasons, basically personal issues. But you never were able to come to it was never the issue of doctrinal issues that you rejected. It was like these personal things. Don't get me wrong, still important.
Yeah.
So you still believe doctrinally. It wasn't a doctrine that knocked you off.
No. So then what happened? 2012, I'd left. And I said, I'm never going to go back, never going to look back. Didn't. 8 years went by, and I was still doing some work up north. And one of my friends up there, like I developed friends in the Native communities, he phones me up and he says, Vern, you never did finish that Bible study with me. And, the virus is here. And I was wondering, is there any kind of hookups now? We have good internet. It's cheaper, that I could keep studying the Bible with. And I said, sure, I know a guy. It's like Dumb and Dumber, eh? I don't know if you've seen that show, but I couldn't have been more dumber than dumber. And I said, yeah, I know a guy. And so I phoned this elder I knew, and the elder lined it all up, and they started studying. And I thought, well, that's great, because I don't do this no more. I got right out of it. I'm not studying the Bible with JWs. I'm not pushing their religion. I'm not doing any of those things. But I wasn't speaking bad about them. I had not yet dissected what was in me at this point. But I was having issues with PTSD that I didn't recognize. I could talk about that for an hour. But anyways, long story short, in 3 months, my friend calls me up and said, Vern, you're demonized, and I'm cutting my association with you. And I said, what? He says, yeah.
You're demonized.
It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. And I says, it's in the JW Bible. So I went at that elder for 2 weeks, solid with scriptures, solid. I said, show it to me. Show it to me. He couldn't show it to me. Finally, he gave me I even met with him and another elder. And finally, they gave me a cease and desist email, which means legally I can't contact them no more. I was pounding them scriptures every day, pounding them at them. And then I held it in. 2 years of holding it in. My wife says, write it down. You can't do this no more. Because there was no, back then, 2011, 2012. I didn't know of any. I wouldn't have trusted an online community. I thought they were all apostates and demonized. And I told my wife that. And there's nothing. And so I started writing this book. And I wrote about 100 pages, and I had to burn it. It's nothing I could publish. There was so much disgusting stuff in there that I couldn't publish it. So I wrote a fictional book with some of the stuff. I will write the rest of the stuff eventually. Not yet. But
how many years all total were you a faithful, zealous
30
Jehovah's
years.
Witness?
30
How many years did you put in?
30 years. 30 years.
Three
decades.
30 years a witness.
3
Wow.
decades. I'm 61 now.
Wow.
I started when I was 18. And 40 years. I didn't get my mind out for 40 years. It took another 8 years to get my mind out. And then when you start, you don't get your mind out. It takes years. It took 2 years on this channel every day, sharing what I'm doing. Fixing my faith. Every day I dedicated full time. I thought if I could go up and do unassigned territory full time, I can do this full time. And I'm going to fix myself. That's what I said. I went to a psychologist here and they wanted $150 an hour, and I can't afford that. So we have that on our channel. We have a professional psychologist here on our channel Saturdays. It's an ex-member. She married a psychologist. Lo and behold. And they now make podcasts helping us to move forward. They call it Moving Forward, Madeline and Christiane. What's the way forward, they call it. So that's available. Discord, we said we need a community. People need help, just like what Rick is doing. We need a community. We need more communities, because that's what we need as XJWs. We need to talk. And talk therapy is the only thing that's going to heal us, all of us. Talk therapy and medication.
Right. Like something
Eric,
like alcoholics
medication.
Anonymous, all sit around in a circle and tell your story.
Yeah.
Well, Vern, I want to tell you this. We have Larry here. That's the man on the line right now. I really believe, and I've been bringing this up, he sounds just like Fred Franz. He really, really does. I'm going to play a little clip from Fred Franz, and that was Larry on there earlier. And Larry, could you just say, stay alive till 75? Could you say that, Larry?
Yes. Stay alive till 75 and stay alive till 2025.
All right. Well, let's play Fred Franz. I got a clip right here. Listen to him.
And these people were not particularly identified, except for the fact that they were righteously disposed people, and God would respect their righteous.
Well, I mean, Larry sounds just like him. I have to bring that up all the time. Well, let's go on. We have Happy Heretic. What would you like to say, Happy Heretic? Well, for some reason, let's get you.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone from Holland. I can't sleep. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock here. I can't sleep.
Diana?
So I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Love you all.
Hello, Diana.
Hi. Well, I'm out since May 2021. The memorial was my last meeting that I did not attend. I had a black screen on. And well, I woke up with a friend of mine just by reading the Bible and reading the magazines, Watchtower studies, comparing it with the Bible. And my friend was researching narcissism, and I was sort of researching the organization. We sent each other videos. That's how we found out we're in a narcissistic cult. Yeah, in very short. I got in Bible study with my mom when I was 15, baptized at 18, pioneered for 10 years. And I was the last one to think that I would not be a Jehovah's Witness. So that's my story in short.
We all have similar stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's we all know how we all feel. That's why these communities are so important. To get online and talk. Some people don't want to share their faces, I notice, and then after a while they do, and then after a while, you know, it's all stages. This healing process, and we have to cry, and we have to let out our feelings, and we have to talk about all the things that hurt us. This talk therapy. That's the only way so far that the psychologists have learned that we as a XJW community so far, they're studying us, but that's the only way we can heal. Exactly what you're doing. So that's brave, very brave, Diana. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Happy Heretic. Listen, if you want to come on, say hello, Vern. Say hello, Ruby. We've got them on here tonight. And, well, we're going to bring Eric on. Eric, yeah, go ahead. What would you like to say?
It's not Eric, it's Tim. How you doing?
Yeah, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Vern and Ruby. How you doing?
Good.
Hello,
How
Tim.
are you?
Thanks.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Well,
Good shows that you've been doing together, and I agree with the caller before that was talking about that one where you had Monica's video from South Africa with the band Countries. That was very interesting. And I just wanted to elaborate. I commented in the chat with you, and you both replied about Warwick Pimo. I mean, it's just all I can say is words because it's only what I watched on his show. But I was following that channel, and it was really weird when it was taken. It was really weird when it was taken down. He put a video up. Wait up. Yeah, can you guys still hear me? Yeah. Okay. So Warwick Pimo he put a video up, and what happened to him was they hacked his computer and knew that he was leaking information. And essentially the kidnapping thing was someone just telling him, let's go for a bit of a drive somewhere. And so he's jumped in the car and they've mysteriously bumped into another guy from Bethel along the way and picked him up. And once the two of them are in the car, they've grilled this Warwick Pimo about his online activities. And so somehow at that point, they forced him to give his control, like his password, or it was because they hacked it to his YouTube channel. And so it's kind of interesting that he's actually come out with a lawyer now, because when I heard the whole story, it was really weird. And after that, he disappeared off his YouTube channel, and someone else appeared to have gained control, and they started posting all sorts of weird stuff that you could tell it wasn't the same guy. So, yeah, it's just that I heard the original story, and I was thinking, this is weird. These dudes should get charged with, like, basically espionage and kidnapping, you know what I mean? Because, like, it's just a way out there story. And then, for him to actually be pressing charges or something, that's super interesting. Yeah, so it wasn't like an elder or nothing. It's literally like a hijacking, like a kind of in the car, putting him under pressure. And then his final warning was just be careful, because his final warning was be careful to the apostates, because these guys in Bethel are smart and they won't hesitate basically to hack people's phones and all that type of a thing. So yeah, I thought you might find that a bit interesting. Other than that, that's kind of all I've got to say. Just enjoying listening to you both, and great job as always. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that comment. Now, what I do know about the website, Warwick. Go ahead.
Hey, it's Eric.
Go ahead, whoever that was. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Eric, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I was just saying, I tried to come on earlier, but the StreamYard wasn't making the audio happen. But I just wanted to say thank you all for covering for me tonight. I came back from getting my refrigerator fixed or replaced, and replacing all the groceries for it. And I knew it was going to take too long to come back in time. But thanks, y'all. And I
you're welcome.
Touch on a point that Vern made about Stockholm syndrome. I think absolutely Jehovah's Witnesses fall short of that, or fall into that, is because they do please their captives. Hey, child sex abuse happens. No, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't. You know, like they do anything they can,
making excuses
to keep their elders happy, the circuit overseers happy, it used to be district overseers, but no more. To keep all the way up to the chain of command happy. That's all it is. And they absolutely please their captives. You know what? My dad went from being a man who was disfellowship for smoking pot, and he was in a Kingdom Hall parking lot in Rhode Island, and he told an elder to go F his mother in the parking lot of the Kingdom Hall. And they submitted this man, because he was being taken advantage of, and they submitted this man to a weak little parasite, a weak little like shell of a man, a weak little like person, and take him of his dignity and his manhood almost, you know. And now it went from him saying "Go F your mother" to when his son, not me, but my brother, and his daughter-in-law, they had a baby, and she was like 9 months old, you know, and or maybe a year old, I don't know, somewhere, a newborn. Because they were disfellowshipped and they'd leave after the meeting, and then my mom and, well, not really my dad so much, but my mom would like show off they'd give him the baby and she'd show him off to everybody, or however old it was. And an elder came up and said, you can't do that. And my dad had a problem with it, and they all came down on him, and he submitted. But my dad was in the right, and he gave up his manhood because that baby didn't stand against anybody. And this is ridiculous. The parents were in the car. This was a complete crap show, if you will. And it was a show of power. And my dad submitted to it all the way to the point where he, shuns his kids, and because they told him so. But thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all for what you did and for what you do, and all of you for having your channels. And thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dick.
We appreciate you, Eric. We love you, man. You run a good show, and we miss you tonight. But everyone needs a break, and we hope you get feeling better, buddy. Now I'm gonna let a bit of air in here.
I'm not sick. I just want to make that clear. I had a problem with my fridge, and I've been without a fridge for a week. So if anyone can imagine what it's like without having refrigeration in the freezer for a week and having to throw out all your groceries, at least 90%.
We're doing that right now. We have a cooler. We've been living out of a cooler in the sea can, and it's quite hot out.
Oh, that sucks.
So fortunately, the people that bought our place, they have a refrigerator. Like, we have power here, and they have a freezer. So we're freezing these big pop bottles and putting it in the cooler, and that lasts about a day in a good cooler. You can go a long ways in a good cooler with frozen pop bottles. Anyways, I'm just going to be right back. Behind me, I'm going to open the window behind me here. So I'm just going to stop camera here. See you just in a few seconds.
Well, that's good. Well, listen, we got a lot of people still calling in here tonight. Thank you very much for coming into the Six Screens. We got Ruby here with us. Vern will be back shortly. But what's on your mind? What would you like to say? Come on right now. Hit *6 on your telephone pad. Yeah, let's do that. We get a lot of things going on here.
Going on in the background now, Rick.
What's that, Eric? Yeah, a lot of stuff.
It sounds like, no, it's not me. I'm just saying it sounds like someone else in the background has some broken glass going on.
Well, yeah, there's a lot going on here. But anyway, we're so glad to have Vern on with us tonight. We're so glad to be able to do this broadcast tonight. Would you like to come on 925? What would you like to say? 925?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Laughing.
Oh, man. Could you called me before, and I don't know what was wrong with my phone, but anyway, here I am, a dude. And earlier, what Vern and Ruby were talking about fits into the title of the book you often have there, and you give it away, Rick. Captives of a Concept, which goes right into Stockholm. So they were tracking really, really clear on all that. And there is so much psychological decay when you're constantly getting regurgitated indoctrination that it turns out to be, a big scam. So that's very damaging. And so when you leave and everybody talks about the support you need, you cannot be involved in that. And I'm like Vern, I converted in my early 20s. And that's a crazy story I've touched on before. But yeah, when you leave, you're unraveling all kinds of trauma. So just know that's, you can't expect to be right easily or in a short order. You have to be patient and see it for what it is. And that information I just shared, you're going to hear a lot of that if you're out there.
Yeah.
And you're still a PMO and you're still wondering what's going to happen. Could be a lot of bad things. But if you stay plugged into people who've been through it, they can comfort you with the fact that you can get through it. But it's not set up to be easy. It's a viper pit. So anyway, Vern. all that stuff you're bringing out in your channel. And Ruby, I love your stuff too. Really, really nice. You do a great job. Really, I've been watching.
Thank you, buddy.
Too. And I've been listening. Yeah.
Anyway, it's good for us to hear this as creators. Do you know how many times I was going to quit over the last 2 years? My good wife says, "You can't quit. You can't quit. Look at all those comments." And I said, "What comments? I'm just tired. I want to quit." And then you start reading the comments, and then you start hearing stuff online, and then we realize, well, we got to keep doing this. Rick, if he would have quit, we wouldn't be on here. I don't know.
That's why Rick is very special. And
but what I realize now is we need this community. Better. We do need it.
Yeah, but Vern, I want to say you're getting better. I mean, you're improving. You're in a good rhythm, man. You've got a vision that's really good for everybody that tunes into your stuff. Really good.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for that.
And I just want you to know that.
Appreciate hearing that.
Same goes for Rick. Rick's the king, man. Rick's going 20 years every Saturday. That blows me away.
Well, what I want to say, though, I want to say that we would look at, I notice young ones coming in, new ones coming in. I see Ruby. My goodness, she has a big future. She really, really does. And exposing the Watchtower. And when I see young ones like that doing things, that makes me feel so good. And then we see Vern. My goodness, I'm so happy to see what he's doing. Look, we're all allies here. All of us exposing the Watchtower can really make a difference. And it is making a difference. We are getting people to leave the Watchtower. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. Yep.
And there's a lot of things to sort out in life, but the centerpiece of this community is you've got to feel good about getting out of that mess. You've got to go ahead and do it. It's just, and in fact, it's becoming more lethal, more dangerous, more desperate, and that's all it can do now. So even though they come in with these softer sounding things, it's still a desperate organization.
Well, go ahead and hit *6. Come on. Let's listen to what you have to say. We got a lot of people listening in on the phone line. So go ahead and hit *6. Would love to hear your comments. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Very nice, Vern.
Yeah.
That's a nice sign.
Well, there you go.
Very nice, Vern.
You want me to show you the sign I made? Sean is going to get my sign.
Yes.
So there's one. We actually had a printing company print these up 3 weeks ago. We ordered them. They couldn't get them across the border or whatever. And we're going tomorrow morning. So then we just made these up.
Okay, we made these up.
I mean, my good wife made them up.
Yeah, this is Vern's.
This is the one I made.
Oh, nice.
Can you see that one from a distance?
No.
Yes, I can see it.
That one wouldn't work as good, would it? So that was the one I made. But this is the one I think I'm going to use. I'm going to use this one, I think. It looks a little better. Can you see that
definitely.
One?
Yes.
And then if anybody, someone else comes, we can have one. See that one?
Yes, very nice. Wow, that's exciting.
So we'll try. We'll then I'm going to put a camera on my chest.
Yes.
Are you allowed to do that, Rick? Put a camera?
Well,
or do you have to blur their faces?
One of the most difficult things to do. I mean, I'm in the sign business, and I try to come up with really good signs that would help people disconnect from the Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very hard. It's very, very hard. What do you really put on a sign? So you can't put a whole lot on there. You want it to be quick and be able to grasp people's attention. So, I've been trying for years here. We've been protesting for 15 years here on the Six Swans. And what do you put on a sign? And you want to keep it simple. You don't want to put a whole lot on there. You want people to be able to react. But I'll tell you what, of all the signs, I've done 100 signs protesting here in the Watchtower. But of all the signs that made the big difference, I'll tell you what it is. Watchtower breaks up families. They like that because it's true. That's exactly what the Watchtower does. It breaks up families. I would say that is the most predominant sign we've got. Yeah, it works. Yep.
Yeah. So what we're trying to get people, we know people are leaving that hall or leaving that religion, right? Every day. So they're coming to this assembly, Sunday for sure. They're coming to this special talk. Everyone wants to see the new Jesus movie, all this kind of stuff. So they're coming and they want to leave. Kids want to leave. How do we leave? Is there a community? Well, yeah, there's XJW Friends. So when they go to xjwfriends.com, we can see that they went there. You get a counter on the traffic. So we'll know if it works. We're gonna take a look, see how many hits we get on the website. And if they get to the website, well, there's Joe and Fran's info. And they can hook into a meetup. They can come on to the YouTube channels and learn a little bit more, get involved in the community. The community is what's really going to wake them up. Getting involved in the community, always on there. And it's going to help them with loneliness and all kinds of things when they leave. So it's a virtual community. It's an online community. And then the meetups, we want to get these meetups going, and it's happening. So we just have to keep working at it. It's going to take a bit. But we're all doing it collectively, you, Rick, and everyone, and we want to thank everyone out there that's a part of this, because it's a big thing, and no one has an answer. We're being studied, us, right now, or we have just been studied by the Zurich. I call it the Zurich Bank, but it's Zurich, Germany, or whatever. They funded this all. We're being studied because of that shooting.
Vern, I wanted to ask you, is it okay if I answer to that caller's question, Larry, when he said, like, what was the waking up moment for you? I wanted to answer that to Larry.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to go back to that was because you gave a great example of somebody who doubted and then woke up, and that was the reason for your awakening or the way you were treated. And I want to give that perspective a little bit more attention. And that's exactly what I went through. So I never had any doubts. I thought that this was the truth, and I was willing to die, as a Jehovah's Witness. So it was the way they treated me when I found out about the CSA cases that were being covered up in the Kingdom Halls, and that the elders are, some of the elders were the perpetrators. And so that's what my family started calling me an apostate, because I was questioning the structure of the elders, the policies on how do they handle people that have been accused of CSA, or that registered sex offenders. How do they treat them? Is their invitation revoked? And the answer is no, they can still attend the Kingdom Hall. And that's when I said, I will never bring my child into a Kingdom Hall ever again. But you see, I still believed. And so that's why I think it's harder for us, especially as born-ins, is that when we realize something that we cannot defend, that's the cognitive dissonance. When you are brought with facts and you cannot, with a good conscience, defend the fact that they are covering pedophiles in the Kingdom Halls, and then you're the bad guy because you found out something that you wasn't supposed to find out. But deep down inside, I still believed in Jehovah and in Jesus. I was still a Christian. And they dared tell me that I was going to lose my everlasting life because I didn't attend the Kingdom Hall twice a week. And so that's, I mean, that this is why I wanted to
Really?
say that. Because
this is, elders run around and say all kinds of stuff. Some of them do anyways. I'm sure Rick was a good elder when he was in there, but there are good elders. Right, Rick?
Well, the thing is, I have to tell you, Vern, that I never accepted the role. There was a ministerial servant, but they kept saying, "Oh yeah, no." They kept wanting me to be an elder. I mean, numerous occasions. I said, "No, I don't want to be one." I mean, I told them this is not the organization years ago. This is not your grandfather's organization, and I refused it. But they kept saying, you have to be it. The elders, the circuit overseers pushing us. You have to be an elder. I said, I don't want it. I saw all the pedophilia. I saw everything going on. So I never accepted the
Wow.
role.
Good for you.
I was just a ministerial servant. Yep.
Mhm. I was going to comment on Ruby's. You made a point about being raised in, and I thought that's like being a Jew. You know, a Jehovah's Witness Jew, JW Jew. You're born
Yeah.
in. You're a Jew, JW. So
Yeah.
I'm a Gentile. I came in as a Gentile. You're an authentic Jewish
Right.
JW. We call it a JW,
Yeah.
but I'm a Gentile JW.
Right. You have
That's
to earn your
funny.
place. Okay. I was born into it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Were
but
you
I
born in,
mean,
Rick?
Yes, I was. Well, actually, I was three years
Okay.
old. My mother was a witness. My father wasn't. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, yeah, born in. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ruby. I cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish that point off, it's that the way they treated me is what made me didn't want to go to the Kingdom Hall anymore. But I'm not disfellowshipped. I'm just faded. I'm just inactive because I cannot with a good conscience go to the Kingdom Hall. And then what happened was my Jehovah's Witness uncle was arrested because he tried to meet up with a minor. And this is relating to CSA case. And when I brought that information to my Jehovah's Witness family, they told me, oh, well, he got disfellowshipped. So that's the consequence that he's going to have. And I am sorry, but that is not good enough for me. Just because he got arrested or posted the bail and said, I'm sorry, and said, oh, I repent to Jehovah. They reinstated him and he is allowed to go to Kingdom Hall meetings. They no longer shun him because he is reinstated and he's active, but they shun me because I do not go to a Kingdom Hall. So how does a pedophile and a sex offender get treated better than somebody like me? And so that is the reason why I am no longer a Jehovah's Witness. But technically speaking, I never left Jehovah. I still believe in God. And I think that I represent that little group of people. And that's why I'm outspoken. That's why I do my videos. And that's why I expose these things. Because there are that very few minority of people who still feel as if this was robbed from me. The family threw me away, but I am not a bad person. And so that is the majority of us as well. We just don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. But that doesn't mean that we're bad or that we don't believe in God or that we're not Christian anymore or that we're going to lose everlasting life just because we don't go to a Kingdom Hall. So that's what I wanted to tell Larry because I didn't have any doubts. I never did any a sin or like a wrongful doing. I did everything in my power to do what is right, and it was still not good enough. They threw me away and they shunned me, but they talked to the pedophile. So I just wanted to say that. And if you are in the New York tri-state area, my uncle is a registered sex offender attending Kingdom Halls. So be very, very careful.
Ruby, did they let your uncle out in service? Did he go out in service?
I don't know. And that's the problem. I called his elders and I said, will you revoke his invitation? And they told me, don't worry about it. We're going to handle it. Oh, okay. So I'm supposed to leave it in your hands, right? Oh, leave it in Jehovah's hands. I'm sorry. That's still not good enough for me. So I blasted my uncle. I made a video. I shared his mugshot. You can go to my channel. My very first video is exposing CSA cases. And this is why I use my channel to expose CSA, because I think it is wrong. It is wrong to let these sex offenders roam around. I mean, roam in society, let alone a Kingdom Hall. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with you.
I take this
100%.
very seriously.
I do too. Yep. And you'll be a good voice and to be free. You know, that's the voice. This is the voice we need there. Thank you.
Yes.
We've got Sparky. Sparky, what do you have to say? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that story. I guess one of my questions was going to be for Ruby, because I saw your interview with somebody else and I thought you got disfellowshipped or something, but it sounds like no, you came back and then you faded yourself. Right. Is that correct?
Yes. So if anybody is interested, I did an interview detailing my JW life with JW Researcher Rose. And I did a part 1 interview with her, and part 2 will be coming soon. I have to get back in touch with her.
Yeah, because so everyone here had kind of stepped away on voluntarily, right? I was curious to know what, if anyone that was found themselves just kind of stumbled out for disfellowshipping or something, if they would have gone the faded route, like what is there a better option? But actually, the other my main question. Am I there again? I can't tell if you can
Yes,
hear me.
I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
I think most people would want to know, let's say if their mate was cheating on them, but there's some percentage of people that would just rather be ignorant to it. And so actually a better analogy would be like if you saw a couple that were really happy that you thought anyway, and one of them was cheating, would you take it upon yourself to voluntarily let the other know that the cheating was happening? The reason, yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's because I find myself kind of stumbled out. That's kind of where I'm at. And then once out, you're like, well, I might as well look into this. And then I'm like, oh my God. But if you think of family back in, what are the consequences, do you think? Are there any consequences to, I shouldn't say are there, of course they are, of trying to alert somebody that's already in? Like I can think of like my grandma that's in.
Right.
If she were to leave, what does she, have her whole life is there? She doesn't have time to make new friends and new stuff. You know what I'm saying? So do you put it upon yourself to put it out there? Because I know some ex G dubs go in all strong and hard, and now everyone has to know I'm hurt. Now everyone has to know. But there are some. Would you agree that there are some consequences with trying to awaken somebody that doesn't want to be awake, like somebody's sleepwalking? What are your thoughts on the other side of trying to awaken people that there, some, like I said, there's some people that probably don't want to know that their mate is cheating. They want to live their life without those consequences. It's kind of weird. Go ahead.
Well, I think that was the biggest mistake that I made, because when I saw those cases and I brought it up to my mother, who's a super fanatical Jehovah's Witness, that's when she started looking at me side-eyed, like, what websites have you been looking on? And so it didn't matter what I said or what I showed her, even if it was a legit court case, she was calling it persecution, that this was Satan's worldly system attacking Jehovah's Witnesses. So once I figured out that she was that indoctrinated, she was that convinced that this is Jehovah's true organization, despite everything, there was nothing else that I can do. But you see, I didn't know how to communicate those things. So it ended up in a lot of arguments, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness. And that changed me inside, because I was like, this is not Jehovah's organization if when you bring something up, such a demonic presence or energy was coming out of these people. Like they were screaming at me, they were name calling me, they were telling me nasty things. And that's when I realized that I can no longer call myself a Jehovah's Witness. I can't go to a Kingdom Hall because my conscience doesn't allow me to. And if Jehovah gives us free will, then I should be able to use that free will for myself. Like, I'm not trying to impose this on my JW family. But if I'm going to do this on my own, like my page, my social media, my YouTube channel, then I should have the right to do that without fear of consequences or anything. So I had to let that fear go to allow myself to expose these things, because it was too many things happening at once. But that's the thing. Once you start speaking up, they're going to call you an apostate regardless. So you got to be prepared to accept the fact that whatever you say or do, you're still the bad guy, because they have not woken up on their own. Truly, it's the truth. They have to do their own research. This is why we always say this on these channels. Do your research. Go on Google, look at something, because it could be anything that would one day snap and they would wake up, no matter how many years they've been in, because we have living proof of many people like Joe and Fran who woke up at a very late stage in life, and then their children shunned them. And then you have people like me who are super, super young, relatively young. And My whole family shuns me just because I don't attend. And it's because I don't stop talking. I don't stop exposing. I don't stop going on apostate websites and streams and things like that. And the elders, they don't even care anymore. I didn't even get a shepherding call. Nobody came to my house. Nobody harassed me. They literally did not care. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just sit here and cry and be depressed and be anxious because all of a sudden I'm mortal and I found out that one day I'm going to die and that I'm not going to go to paradise because I don't believe in what they say? Or am I going to stop with that victim mentality, join the community, do what I can for the community because of my experience and what happened to my uncle, and join stuff like this and speak up about it, despite the fact that, yes, sure, we're going to die one day, but I'm not going to die silent. I am going to die knowing and letting them know by my actions, by my accomplishments, by the things that I do, that I am still going to do what I'm going to do. We got free will, we got free speech, and we got freedom of religion, and we need to start acting like it. But be prepared for those consequences.
Well said, Ruby. Well said.
Hi, Ruby. That was fabulous. Can I say something? Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, yes, go.
Oh, Ruby, that's beautiful. Ruby, I say our power is our voice. You're using it, and do keep using it. It's wonderful. And great program tonight too. I truly appreciate it from everyone. I just wanted to address the question that caller asked too. I thought it was a good question. To what extent do we alert someone who's in, for example, like his grandmother? There are many that are in that organizations they're comfortable in it. In other words, they find comfort in it. They may not have the same experience as we do. They may never have the same experience. I hope they have that same experience. But for example, for an older woman, for example, especially if she's she's lost her husband or she's single, the elders are going to go after every bit of money that she has in her possession, because they're not getting so much money otherwise. They're making extra effort to go after the money of the older folks. They need to know that. They need to be warned of that at least, because otherwise they're going to go after their insurance money and whatever else they have. So, you may want to tell them, look, you may be very comfortable in the organization. That's your business. But are you aware that your money is being pursued? And is this what you really want to do with it? And leave them that option to check that out. There's free will. They have the free will, like you mentioned, Ruby, to exercise their free will to worship or be whoever they want to be there. But they need to be alerted to the dangers, because otherwise they might wish you said something. Why didn't you tell me? Don't ever hold back. If you feel that someone needs to know something, don't hold back. It's a sign of love. You guys are great.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well,
thanks. That was Joe, I think. Hey, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, well, that was Joe. We really appreciate him and Fran. Listen, you're on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. So listen, why don't you call in right now? We got a lot of people calling in on the telephone line. So if you'd like to speak to Ruby, I'd like to say hello to our good friend Vern. Well, go ahead and hit *6. So come on, let's talk to them. We got a lot coming in right now. So go ahead. Don't be a stranger. Boy, I have to tell you, Vern and Ruby, it's been amazing. Lots of people are coming through here tonight. You would think there'd be, vacationing because of the July 4th holiday. But let's see if we can get some more people to come on. Go ahead. What do you think? How were you treated in the Watchtower? You listened to the program tonight. What do you think? So why don't you hit *6? Come on and let us know what you think. I have to tell you, Ruby and Vern, It's amazing how many people right now are coming out of the Watchtower. I mean, I can't believe this. I've been doing this now for 20 years, but right now is the pinnacle. Is the pinnacle of people leaving the Watchtower. I think you guys will agree, right?
Yeah, and it's going to grow. It's growing.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to say hi to Johnny. What's up, Johnny from England? 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m. Johnny Chris. I don't know how you say his last name.
Yeah.
Chryso. I like to butcher it. Chrysostomu.
Oh.
No, did I really wreck it?
Pretty
How
the
would
first
you
time.
say it? How would you say it?
Chrysostomo. Tomo.
Huh.
Chrysostomo.
We'll have to get Johnny to come on and tell us how to say his name. Well, hello, Johnny. Thanks for getting up at 5 a.m. That's early. You must be an early bird.
Okay, let's bring on a 925. Go ahead, 925. You're on with us.
Yeah, I got a comment on what Joe just said. This is a pasta dude. Think about how many times you sat in a meeting and to motivate you to go out in the ministry, they said, well, people's lives are at stake. Jehovah will ask back their blood if you don't go preach to them. It was a big fear motivator. Now, just in case that other caller where Joe was speaking to, it's very true. The reverse. When you tell, I go up to carts all the time, and I don't go at them hard because I know how locked in they are with all these little things. Yeah, and you got to kind of therapeutically just sneak some.
Mm-hmm.
You got to set up some fundamental questions, and it's fascinating to watch the responses. But in any case, if you want to think about an obligation, you probably have more of an obligation when you know that they're a scam.
Exactly right. That's how I feel.
Yep.
Yeah. Ruby, you laid it down a couple of minutes ago.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with my wife saying, Ruby really gets it. So anyway, a pasta dude out.
See, I think for me, if I was to comment, let's say we're at a convention and the news people come up, right? We've got to be prepared. In what's 3 quick points? No more than 3. 3 quick points. Why are we doing these protests? Number 1, lives. People that are shunned in this organization, they're left out to die. They're considered dead. People that are like us are considered dead. This organization gives us a death sentence and they announce it to everyone. So we're here to help those ones to save lives, right? We're here to help those ones. We don't want our XJW friends committing suicide because they're depressed and lonely and they don't know where there's help. Because everyone coming out of that organization is confused. They may still think that the whole world's evil because that's what we were taught, all of us. So we have to learn slowly to gain trust back in the world and realize that the whole world isn't evil, that we were told a big fat lie. And we need the community. So I think as we all get out, we all need this community. We need to explore with our minds. We need to open our minds. And we're going to get angry at times and we're going to go through all these stages. And when I get people on my channel, they leave comments. Some people are really angry. In fact, YouTube actually holds some comments and we go in and they're just angry. We give them a heart. We don't say nothing. Put them back onto YouTube because they need to express how they feel. People, but YouTube doesn't understand that all the time. But these people that are just waking up, they need to get angry. If you have to get angry, get angry. It's part of it. I was pissed off. I was pissed off at the Watchtower for lying. They have the truth. Come on. Idol worship. They coerced us into idol worship. They coerced us all into signing blood cards. Imagine that. My son was almost like just this close when he was born, where he needed a whole thing. And the blood thing was in the way. He could have died. because I was an indoctrinated JW. That's why. So this is important. There's people dying every day in this religion, whether they're being shunned, committing suicide, or whether they don't take a blood transfusion because of false indoctrination. People are dying every day in this organization. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And we have family in there. We have family in there that could.
Vern, the thing is, when you say get angry, that's not necessarily healthy, but you're right. You got to manage it. You've got to put it back. And that's why deconstruction is very important, because it settles you better. I have along the way described now, and believe me, like I came in in my early 20s, and I'm an old guy now. And so I woke up about 8 years ago, and I have along the way described my feelings when I was just really thinking it through, of all the things and the way I decided things in life. A cauldron of rage is what I went through, and I had to kind of, get it tamped down. In other words, the anger was normal, but it's so offensive. It's so horrible to think, and they keep doing it. They carry on, and I can't believe they don't know exactly what they're doing. It's unbelievable how wrong it is. And they're talking about, I think they know. They can't not know. They get all the stats on suicide, disfellowshipping, and how many people are shunned and depressed. I mean, even the people about 30% of them, we figure, are on antidepressants. And they're in the religion, the paradise, it's crazy. So you're right about the anger thing. So you gotta kind of get yourself settled in. You're in for, but you're better off getting out. What Joe says is true. Some people are going to stay comfortable. There's a lot of reasons for it. They're hemmed in many ways. I had that, but see, the thing about me coming in the early 20s was I came out of a Christendom church. I lived 3 doors from the church. I was raised full-blown Catholic. And I had to confront all the truths that they said about how wrong and corrupt the Catholic Church was, because there were facts about that. So then you find out the facts about them, and they flip. It's like you're a bad guy, just like Ruby said. You're not the bad guy. It's a problem. It's ridiculous. So
hello. Hi, Apostle Dude.
Hey, Fran, how you doing?
This is Fran. Really good conversations, and I just have to interrupt because what we're talking about, we have a community, like Vern always says. This is our community now, and we are keeping track of everyone. And personally, we have not heard of anyone taking their life recently, and we hope that is true. But we know that there's a lot of depression out there. We know there's a lot of loneliness out there. And so we need to keep growing this community. But I do have an update about Debbie, because earlier I read a text, and she sent this to John Marciano, and she wanted us to read this. She said, "I haven't told Fran and Joe any of this. You're the first and only person I have told," talking about John. "I know you've experienced this kind of thing with your dad, so you know what it's really like. Few people believe the real truth about this kind of place. They're not even giving me the right amount of insulin. Nobody here wants to listen when you try to tell them something or ask them something. They get mad when you tell them you want to know what meds they're giving you. It's a very dangerous place to be. If you want to, you can forward this to Fran and Joe or anybody else. It's fine with me. I haven't felt like texting, talking, or anything with anybody, and I am seriously battling depression. Mentally and emotionally and physically. This place is destroying me. Tina," that's her daughter, "Tina and I are both trying to get me out. So we need to get in touch with Debbie. She's battling depression. If anyone has their phone number, please send her a text. She's in this, she's not in the hospital anymore, but it's like a nursing home. Or if you don't have her phone number, get in touch with us. But these are people, they're real people. We care about these people. And so we want to keep tabs on everyone. So thank you for letting me share them.
No, thank you,
Yeah,
Fran.
those are tough places, Fran. Those are very. I've had family in those places, and in one case, and when a baptized son was in there due to a mental breakdown, and I had to finally go to the elders because it was several months, and I said, "Can you guys maybe tag along with me and visit?" And by the way, me and my wife, we're the only family that was visiting anybody in there because this boy was a wonderful kid. And the elder says, "We don't want to go to places like that. You have to understand." And I thought, well, why? What are you talking about? It's a baptized brother. So the cruelty, the lack of self-awareness is off the chart, man. So, but anyway, let's all have a thought for Debbie. That's a sweet lady. She's going on the show, and let's if anybody can, give a call, try to cheer her up.
Yeah, I thought someone was going to stop in and see her.
Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, I was just going to add to what Joe and Fran or what Fran was saying. I saw the post that Debbie sent before you sent it to me, but I looked up because she left the name of the place that she was staying at, and I know nursing homes either have good reputations or bad reputations, just like everything in this world. So I looked it up, and I didn't want to discourage her, but I didn't like their Google report. What do you call it? Their I can't think of what it's called. The review. The Google. I didn't like the Google review at all. The problem is a lot of nurses that work there left a review, and I'm like, well, of course you like it. You work there, and if you don't like it, you're going to say it. So that's weird, or you're not going to say it. But some majority of them were people that worked there, and there was too many negative 1-star reviews of how the treatment was there, and I was really worried about that. But I didn't want to stress our friend out, so I just shut up. But it makes sense to me that there's a problem there, and let's all pray for her. And I'm gonna text her tonight and see what's up, or just let her get back to me when she wants to. But yeah, she definitely should be all in our prayers. Sometimes you can get really good care. Sometimes it's not good. She does live in Nebraska, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and we can give you her number. Just text or call us. Our number is 315-221-0130, and we can give you Debbie's number, and you can text or call her. She would appreciate that. I know she would.
I'm in.
Well, I think it's good. I really do. I mean, Debbie has been a real supporter here. The 6 screens. She has been a wonderful person exposing the Watchtower. So I did contact her this week and let her know that we all love her. And hopefully she'll be back with us soon. We'll always love to hear her comments. So thank you, Debbie, if you're listening to the program tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So you're on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. We have got a good friend, Vern. We've got Ruby. They're on with us tonight. My goodness, we're so glad they are doing the program tonight. They're filling in for Eric. It's really amazing to me. We got a lot of people listening in tonight, even though it's July 4th weekend. So listen, why don't you do this? Would you like to say hello to Ruby? Would you like to say hello to Vern? All you have to do is hit *6 on your telephone pad. Come on, let's bring them in. We got a lot of people.
Come on in. We
go
won't
ahead.
bite.
Yeah, these guys aren't going to bite you. They'd love to hear from you. So what do you think? Have you been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower? What do you think? You've been watching these guys. They both have YouTube channels. I think it's amazing. We have so many people that are now exposing the Watchtower on YouTube. So we got Ruby, we got Vern. We'd like to hear from you. What do you think? Have you been watching some of these YouTube videos? Have they been helping you? I have to tell you that it always wasn't this way. I mean, go back 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of people doing YouTube videos, but now there's hundreds of people. The Watchtower is really being exposed for what they are, a very evil cult. And we want to thank all the people, no matter who they are, doing the YouTube videos. It's making a difference in getting people to exit the Kingdom Hall. So go ahead, hit *6. Love to hear from you. Don't be bashful. It's *6. Come on. Let's hear from you. It's amazing. Well, Vern and Ruby, it's something. It always hasn't been this way. It really hasn't. To have so many people that are interested in speaking up and talking. Of course, many don't like to talk because they're afraid that someone's going to recognize their voice and probably they'll get disfellowshipped and create some issues. But Dick, what do you have to say? Go ahead, Dick. 978.
I just wanted to say that I really relate to what Ruby was saying. I was disfellowship for adultery, and a lot of people know my story. But I went to the elders with the problem. Nobody caught me. I never caught any kind of BD or anything like that. And I was disfellowship basically because I challenged the circuit overseer and had a lot of questions. I know what it feels like to be disfellowshipped, knowing that there were 5 pedophiles in my congregation, and they're out there shaking hands with everybody, but I had to sit in the back. So I know what it feels like.
Really?
It's certainly it's certainly a cult, and it's certainly run by Satan and devil. Thank you for coming on Rick's program tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to say hi to Keith Silver. I see him on there. Justin Florenzo, Jane Spitfire, Steam One, Gabby. Thank you, everyone, for being on with us. Artsy Kim. And Ruby Quinn, she's on with us in the Oh, no, Ruby's right down below here.
We've got New Hampshire.
Yeah,
We got New Hampshire. We got New Hampshire coming in. New Hampshire, what have you to say? Go ahead. You're on with us.
This is Tom from New Hampshire, and I just want to say that I really, 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 from the bottom of my heart, appreciate all that you all do. Vern, you do an awesome job, and Ruby, you have done an awesome job. You're very good at expressing yourself, and Vern, I look forward to your stuff. You really, I don't know how you do it, but whatever you're doing, keep it up, and it's really, really helpful and good, and this experience is awesome. But I just wanted to say thank you guys, and also give my love to Debbie, and hopefully everything works out for her. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Hi, can I jump in again? Hello, can I jump in again?
Yes, go ahead. Jump in.
I want to back up a little bit and address a question that always comes up that never gets an answer very well. And this has to do with why there's such a prevalence of improper, perverted sexual stuff going on in the Catholic Church and the witnesses and in other churches, Mormon Church, any Christian type organization. It's not an accident. It's not simply aberrant human behavior. If you're ready, and when you're ready to study the deeper roots of Christianity, you'll find that Christianity, it has pagan roots. I mean, it goes back. The deepest pagan that you can imagine. If you can think of the deepest pagan in the Bible and some of the most perverted things there, it's those kinds of roots that it goes back to and it comes from. So there's no wonder why there's this prevalence of that kind of behavior allowed and even perpetrated in those organizations. In other words, it's the most unseeming thing for it to be there. But if you know the history and the background of the religion, where it came from, how it developed, you'd realize that it was actually allowed in and accepted in from the higher echelon down. The ones coming in don't expect it at all, but the ones in the upper echelon, they know it's part of their life. In fact, they're not going to eliminate it. If it's going to be eliminated, it's going to have to be from public opinion, from outside. So when you're ready to find out something that you're really not interested in knowing, study the pagan origin of Christianity, and you'll have these questions answered, and you'll know why there's so much of this perversion. There's no wonder. There's absolutely no wonder.
Cat B says, yes, true. Two Babylons is a must read. Have you heard of that book, Two Babylons?
I haven't.
It's a must read, apparently. Yeah. And
Yeah,
Justin says that's a good book.
It's
So,
a hard read.
look into that one.
I put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two Babylon.
If you want to go into any information on the Greek background of Christianity and where it came from, there's a site called Lady Babylon. But I will warn you,
Smells like burning.
it's deep. Okay, it's raw and it's true.
Yeah. I agree with that.
We watched a show last night about Egypt, and then it all came down to Horus and how Horus lost his eyes. They're all gods. They're all like these gods, and then it was like they were taller than the people. These gods, these Egyptian gods. Did you watch that show?
No, but I've seen, I looked up a lot of like Egyptology, and I saw that movie. If you have seen it, I think it was Gods and Kings or something like that. With Gerard, was Gerard in that? Yeah, I think it was Gerard Butler in that movie. That was a really great movie.
Yep. That was it.
Okay. Yeah,
It was
that
like a
movie.
2-hour show.
Yeah.
And how they dictated how you got into the afterlife. You either bought your way or you earned
Right.
your way.
That movie. Yes.
So JWs, you have to earn your way to get to the afterlife, and Scientology, you have to buy your way to get through the afterlife. Isn't that something? They're using the same stuff, the same crap that worked before.
Yeah, there's so many correlations to everything. I look at movies and I have like my third eye open when I watch things, and then I ask my Christian community of my Orthodox friends, and I'm like, I'm legit coming to them and I'm like, listen, I'm just a truth seeker. I just want the truth. And so if you guys claim to be a 2,000-year-old Orthodox Christianity, then how do you feel about Egyptology and certain things like this? And those are the conversations that I'm having currently.
Interesting conversations, aren't they? It's all history. There's pyramids, so you can't say they're not there. And there's all these
symbols
gods
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe these gods could fly. Maybe they were. This is how it was in the gods. And then they say when Jesus came, the gods all kind of lost their power, or I don't know, something changed. Did you not tell us that? Or was that somewhere else I learned that? I don't know. But when Jesus came, the gods all lost their power. Is that true?
Nah, I don't think so.
Someone said that. I don't know. when all these other gods. So does that mean there's all these other gods today? Do we still have all those gods kicking around invisibly up there? Or could it be that these gods are under rules of engagement kind of a thing and they can't communicate with us? They can't do anything. I don't know. It's interesting.
It is. Yeah. Go ahead. We're listening.
Yeah, hi, it's Tim again. Just so sorry, Ruby, you're looked into orthodoxy a little bit, and I've got a bit of a different angle on you guys, I suppose, than you guys. Like I'm coming at it that I do still believe in God, even though I left Witnesses years ago. I'm not part of an organised religion, but one of my sons got into orthodoxy after we all our whole family looked into the whole witness thing together. And we all came to the same conclusion that it was a load of rubbish. And there's a guy, he's called Father Stephen DeYoung, and he has Bible studies on the Bible where he goes through an hour for one chapter. And what he does is he brings in the historical context as to like what you are talking about, the gods, what people believed, what their pagan beliefs were at that time. And if for people that are Christian orientated, I guess, it puts a whole new perspective into certain things in the Bible. He's not telling you he's right. He's just basically saying, this is what the Romans believed. This is what the Greeks believed, why they were superstitious, and, and why certain phrases make a lot of sense for anyone that wants to go that deep into the whole that type of a thing. But yeah, he's kind of like an orthodox guy, and it is pretty interesting. Personally, I can see that all religions are compromised, but I kind of also do believe in the wheat and the weeds thing that Jesus said. That'll be allowed to coexist together. I guess that's where you want to use discernment. The more you learn, the more you can decipher, what's right and what's wrong. See, for me, I've been distant from this whole witness thing for many years. It's only probably in the last few years that I kind of realised that it was all rubbish. But I only really learn about it now because I seek to do kind of what Vern was saying about help people save lives. But then I'm still looking at the Christian perspective because I want to help people. I've got many family members that are still part of it. And if I can get to the point where I learn enough about it, because I don't want to approach a cart and say something and be incorrect. I want to have all my, the T's crossed, the I's dotted, so that anything I say is 100% fact, and I can give them something to think about that they might leave, but not, be aggressive in nature. So, that's, I suppose, I don't know how many other people share my kind of a take on it, but that's where I am, and that's how I try to help people. So I kind of want them to think, look, this is wrong, and potentially, save their life. Well, really, in many practical aspects, but also spiritually as well, because I still do believe in the Bible and Christianity, but just not the false Christianity that the witnesses, the God of the governing body kind of thing. But yeah, I just thought I'd add a bit of perspective there. And also, this is a totally different topic, but there's a really good YouTube channel called, I think it's literally called the Jehovah's Witness History Channel. It's not very big.
Oh, yeah.
4,000 followers.
The two brothers.
A very good breakdown of a lot of the old Rutherford stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so,
They're two brothers, I think. Aren't they? Two brothers? Physical brothers?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And they were never baptized, those two guys, but their uncle or their dad or something, I don't know, family member was really into it heavily. And so they have all these books.
Yeah.
And they really break it apart well.
That's a great
that's what I thought. Really good.
Breaking. That's a great channel, but just a correction. It's Watchtower History. Watchtower.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, Watchtower History. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, thanks for letting me speak.
Okay, I was going to say, Rick, I'm going to have to head her here pretty quick. We got the protest in the morning. I know, Ruby, it's midnight there. It's probably midnight where at Rick's place.
Yep,
Almost.
it is.
Yeah, well, listen, why don't we end the program? And we certainly appreciate Vern coming on and Ruby. We really had a good audience, a lot of participation.
Yeah,
So
nice
thank
audience.
Well, thank you, Vern, for coming on and being with us
Oh, you're-
tonight. We really, really appreciate it. You're a good man. And Ruby, thank you very much for coming on too. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Well, thank you,
I loved
Ruby.
it.
Bye-bye. Thanks,
So,
Rick, and thanks for having us on.
Well, yes. Well, we'll do it more often.
We'll do it again.
Oh,
Yeah,
we'll do it
sure.
again,
Just give us an
absolutely.
email.
So we're going to end this program right now. And everyone that's been calling in and listening in, we thank you. And keep waving that flag of victory. And we'll
and I
see
want to
you.
say hi to Dan. Dan's out there. Life After Religion. Sorry for cutting in, but I see him there.
Well, Dan's
My
here
hero.
too. There you
Help
go.
me wake up.
Well, thank you very much, Vern and Ruby. Thank you, and we'll see you guys again. And don't you ever give in, up or out. Keep waving that flag of victory. Well, we're going to end this program, and we'll see you next Saturday night. There's no Sunday program tomorrow, but we see you next Saturday night, beginning at 5:45 p.m. with a touch by the tentacles of the Watchtower program. Thank you, and good night. We thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.